Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 16 of the Council Forcecast. I'm Reti 4. Here is Evan Nova,
Hello.
Jen Sarai,
Embracing my light side.
and Antoine Bandele.
Just let it in.
Just let it in. We are going to be reviewing the Star Wars trailer today, the latest and last before the film comes out.
Yep. Right before the film, right before the film comes out, we get our first full trailer, and the hype has been felt everywhere, has it not?
In one way or another, yes.
Yes, exactly.
So, I guess we'll open with initial thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Should we start with you, Evan?
Sure. Just going by everything, my initial thoughts are I am both excited and trepidatious. Because on one hand, I'm liking a lot of what I'm seeing, and on the other hand, some of what I'm seeing fills me with ideas. It's like, no, why are they doing this? No, please, hopefully, oh no. So I'm really much on the line, but I'm still gonna keep optimistic, but I'm also gonna keep level. I'm gonna reserve for when I see the movie, of course. But yeah, for now, I'm like, iffy.
Okay. Connor, what about you?
For me, I'm still fairly in the middle of the spectrum, but I'm kind of tending towards the negative. It's like, again, like everyone else, I do like the visual aesthetic, but a lot of the plot points that have been suggested by the trailer,
Yeah, same.
they're things that just make me very, very apprehensive, and because I'm so nitpicky and because I'm really just looking for reasons for this to fail, it's kind of got me just, it's like I'm Commander Shepard looking up at the collector ship going, fuck.
Okay.
As you do when you look at the collector ship.
Oops, sorry, that was a horn outside. What about
I was like a second, like what the like I thought like I heard someone kick their desk and I was like, did someone's desk just
No,
A British
that would be
horn.
a car.
a British horn? I don't think there's a difference in horns. At least.
What about you, Antoine? I understand that you're far more positive.
Oh my god, yeah, the trailer got me teary-eyed. And the thing I appreciated most about it is that it is a completely spoiler-free trailer, which is completely refreshing to what we've gotten in like the past since the new millennium. Like we've just all the trailers that we get now tells you every single thing, like every arc, every act. You know exactly what every beat's going to be within the movie, and this gives you the complete tone of the movie without giving you any of the major plot details, so you can go into it and you just appreciate it. But yeah, all the imagery in it just really got me. All the dialogue that was within it really got me. But when we talk about it step by step, I'll point out specifically what I mean.
Yeah. As for me, I'm kind of a mix of everybody. The tone and the feel of the trailer, I absolutely loved, as with the other trailers we've had so far, and pretty much everything that's come out of the film so far that we've seen, teaser-wise. What they've shown us, it looks and feels, and it just breathes Star Wars, which I love, because everybody loves that. That's why we're here, ultimately. But, again, like Evan said and Connor, it's just, there are certain things in this trailer that make me think, oh, don't. And of course, I could be completely wrong about my assumptions, and we'll talk about them in a minute. But yeah, if they go the way I fear they're going, I'm really not going to enjoy the films based on plot alone. I'll still enjoy the spectacle, and I'll enjoy the like I say, the feel of it, because it just looks really good. But other than that, I'm worried, and I think a lot of people are as well. I don't think.
Yeah,
it's a thing
we all
unique to
really
us.
want this to be good.
Yeah. But it
I
has
think
to be.
everyone in the world really wants this to be good, let alone the Star Wars fans.
Given what it's sacrificed, it really has to be amazing. Which, as we said before, because when we spoke about it in our original trailer, we thought it's definitely going to be a fun movie and enjoyable as an experience. But whether or not the overall package is worth the price paid to bring it to us is, I don't know.
It won't be boring.
Yeah,
Will not be boring.
but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, one
We've got a
thing
good
I
mixed
will
bag of opinions on that one, then.
yeah, one thing I will say is that even if the movie is shit, just because the new movie is shit doesn't mean that the previous expanded universe material doesn't exist. We always have something to go back to
No,
if
of
this
course,
movie
yeah.
fails.
Of course.
I always have my fire carrier reminding me of why I'm here.
Of course. And as I said before, I will make a very real effort to blend this new EU with the old. Example being the Aftermath book, because that perfectly sits in the original EU, which I love. So you can blend them together at some point, but just this film probably not so much, which I dislike.
Yeah.
But anyway,
since
let's jump into the actual trailer. Sorry, Evan, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say something like, since we know it can be done, hopefully it will be.
Yeah, and we live in hope.
We live in hope.
There never really was much hope. Only a fool's hope. Yeah.
Okay.
So trailer. Let's open with it.
So we
Antoine,
start
take
off
the
with
reins.
with the first few images, which to me is actually my favorite as a setup to the entire trailer, and ostensibly the setup to our main character, who is Rey. And I'm gonna skip ahead just a little bit, but if you just look at her at the workbench, I think it's completely impossible for her to not be a Solo or Skywalker.
You mentioned this in your video, yeah.
Yeah, based on what we're looking at here. I mean, well, okay, first off, let's just do the most obvious thing. Just look at her face.
Yeah.
Who does she look like to you guys?
She is most definitely a Skywalker for us.
She looks like freaking Anakin. Like, her face looks like Anakin.
Her alignment, the way her, yeah.
Right. She looks like Leia. She looks like Luke. She has all the features for it. But then just look at also not just what's obviously there, but ostensibly she's working on working on a workbench. She's a loner. She's also looking at this ship that's flying away, so she's still got that same drive to get away. Yeah, thirst for adventure. That's completely correct. And that's all the same motivations that her predecessors had, and we can also see that she's very much an individual person, which she might have gotten from Leia. Like all these things are there, and then these first few images completely, like, I think they even work as their own little thing on its own. Like, it's like a pre-trailer to like the rest of the trailer.
I would agree with that. Although again, I still find it weird
Trailerception.
that this isn't Tatooine. Like, it's so weird that this
Yeah,
isn't
I know.
Tatooine.
That's
Yeah,
weird.
Jakku, like, why make up a planet, for Pete's sake?
Yeah, I mean, if we get a reason for it and a good reason, it's not a big deal. Yeah. But if we don't, I feel like it was a misstep, because thematically speaking, Tatooine has always been not the core, but a jumping point in Star Wars.
For all the protagonists.
Yeah,
And if
especially
she actually turns out to, oh, sorry.
It's like Tatooine is, for all intents and purposes, the home world and the home of the Skywalker clan. It's like they always come back to that place. That place is, well, it's really where the beating heart of the family is. It's on Tatooine.
Watch this whole thing is completely fake. It's not actually Jakku, and it's Tatooine.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not going to be the end of the world if it isn't. I'm not saying like, oh god, film broken. But it's just it seems odd if it isn't. It's a weird choice to make. And also, are we certain that she's actually a Skywalker? Because while it's entirely obvious and hopeful, and
we don't have any idea.
She should be. There seems, when she's talking to Han and saying, I heard stories, which we'll get to in a minute. It felt like that. It didn't feel like she was necessarily familiar
like
with
outsider.
him. Yeah, like it didn't seem like she was. Because he's obviously going to be her father. If that's the case, well, I guess it could be Luke could be, but that'd be a bit weirder. But you didn't sort of sense that familiarity. I mean, granted, it was like a 2-second clip, but
yeah,
it felt
you
like
definitely
she and Finn had just kind of turned up on the Falcon and were just speaking to him for the first time.
Yeah.
And if not, why wouldn't she know all of this beforehand? Why was she asking the question?
Right.
Which they could by herself. All these questions. So
which they could have easily answered in the film.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we don't know enough yet, but which again is a great thing. It's nice not to know things, but we'll have to see how that turns out.
Yeah,
but hopefully a Skywalker, and definitely with all the, like you said before, Antoine, all the
definitely
traits.
One of the main three have to be, because Kathleen Kennedy, who's the new George Lucas, confirmed that this is the continuation of the Skywalker storyline.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure it's not Finn.
Or Luke.
You never know.
It could just mean that it's a continuation of Luke's story, I guess.
What if it does turn out to be Finn? That'd be.
I mean, should we mention that now? Because I mean, he's not going to come up later. The fact that Luke.
Well, yeah, he's actually next up in this. So the next thing that we are establishing, because before we establish Jakku and Rey, the next thing we establish is the First Order and Finn himself, and where he's kind of coming from. And it's confirmed now that he is for sure because people thought he might have been like undercover as a stormtrooper, but he actually is a bred
Legitimate.
legitimate first order stormtrooper who left the order for whatever reason.
Well, he's got nothing to fight for, as he said.
He has something to fight for.
Yeah. For some reason, I really like that shot where his TIE fighter's going down to the planet. It's very minor, but I just really like,
It comes
visuals.
down to the feel again. That side
Yeah.
of things they have been nailing since the first trailer. I mean, the ships are so beautifully done.
Everything in the
just-
trailer is beautifully done. It looks amazing.
Of course, yeah, but the ships especially, they look real, which they haven't done yet before in any of the films. There's always been an element of, well, that's not, really there. But now, I don't think I've ever seen a sci-fi ship look more physical without being obviously CGI.
Yeah. Well, if Abrams is good at one thing, it's visual aesthetics and making things look very realistic. One of his strengths for sure.
But I mean, even in Star Trek, there was an element of, well, that is clearly fake to it. But
Right.
the visceral impact of these ships is great.
And
very
so
Star Wars.
you see his ship falling in, so gets stranded on Jakku and all that.
Yes, yeah, looking towards some sort of settlement, probably where he's going to meet Rey.
Right,
No, probably about it. That's got to be the case. I mean, it'd
Yeah.
be weird if it wasn't.
Yeah. Where do you reckon they're going to go with his character? Like, is he going to be the one stumbling around? Like, is Rey going to be the experienced, not necessarily Jedi, but Force user? And, I know all of this stuff peripherally because I just don't want to be a part of it that much. And then she sort of guides him, or...
That's
That's
what
the
it
feeling
seems
I
like.
get.
Could
He
be.
seems like he's way over his head. Every time we see him, he looks like he's way over his head. Whatever he's
He's
doing.
going, oh my god, explosions! And she's
Guy-
kind of like
well,
running,
this guy
looking a bit
hasn't
more
smiled.
in control.
We've never seen this guy smile,
Yeah, it's like-
ever. In any of the
No.
trailers, any of the promotional material, he never smiles.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with him.
Because he's the only one who seems like he arcs at all, even in the trailer. Like everyone else seems like their characters are what they are, but he seemed like he's like the one who's like fish out of the water type of thing.
Yeah, Finn.
Ah!
Yeah, he's
Ba-dum.
he's clearly supposed to be, or from what we've seen so far anyway, of course it could be completely be the opposite in the actual film, but from what we've seen, it seems that he's going to be the audience's focus point. Like,
Right.
Rey's the main character, but he's going to be the one that's sort of dragging us along with the whole not knowing thing.
The point of view character.
Yeah. Like, we look at the galaxy through his, not knowledge, but his
His
experience.
terrified eyes.
Yeah, he's like, what the hell is going on? And we're like, we don't know. Because Rey, I mean, even running away from the explosion and stuff, and in this trailer with the later shot we'll talk about in a minute, she seems very much in control at all times.
Yeah.
Like, even
She's used to it.
Yeah, she seems to be. Yeah,
Which,
it's-
I mean, you would think as a stormtrooper he would be really used to, like, insane action, but, you
well, it
know.
depends how experienced he is. I mean, he could
Could have been a rookie, yeah, you're right.
So like he's never
I
had
think-
anything to fight for
I
since he gave
think-
up the first hurdle.
I think the other thing is worth considering. It's also the fact that he's in a situation that he doesn't understand, because as a stormtrooper, as a military man, he's used to going into situations with his mates at his side, his front, and his back. He's used to going into situations with a lot of intel, knowing exactly what's going on, used to having the support structure that is the military supporting him. And now he's being dropped into a situation cold, and the only thing he has to turn to is this chick that he doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's like,
Not
holy
his
fuck.
best day. Not his best day.
Especially on a desert planet in full black. Yeah, definitely not.
yeah.
That is
Oh,
not.
yeah.
Those are
You-
not
you
the
think with
clothes you want to be
he's
wearing.
like, when he gets to the city.
It's like, seriously, dude, take the shirt off. It's not doing any favors.
Oh, no.
Like at the very least, rip those sleeves off. Rip
Yeah.
those fucking sleeves off. Do yourself a favor.
Then use them to make a bandana.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
so what's
what
next?
do you think he's doing with the? I mean, we all have seen the other trailers and the San Diego stuff. What do you think he's doing with the jacket there? Because that's not what he. That's not his jacket.
Not sure.
Yeah.
Do we know it's not his
'Cause it-
jacket?
Yeah, well, in the San Diego Comic-Con trailer, you see a stormtrooper taking Poe in for interrogation, and Poe is originally the one wearing that jacket, and Finn has it now. So like that, it's a connection to Poe,
Yeah, that's weird because the sequence of events from the trailers doesn't explain that at all. Cause
right?
you
Because
sure
he
it's the
wakes
same
up with
jacket?
his.
From all indications,
It
that
is,
Poe
yeah.
comes in later, not before that planet scene.
Yeah.
So
The impression I'm getting
Unless
from
that
the
planet
post that
scene like
happens
where
at the
Lord
beginning.
Poe is flying is like the beginning of the movie.
Oh no, Poe flying is supposed to be later on.
Oh, okay.
it's very confusing. We should find
That
out.
is
about
very confusing.
I'm trying to think of a reason why he would like this. Obviously not from what we've seen, but just in general, why the film would focus on like the jacket taking or whatever. I mean, do we know it's the same jacket? Definitely.
Yes, we know it's the same jacket.
Okay,
His
so I have no
pooch
idea
jacket.
why he would have that then. Like, from why would they would put that in the story and make it a thing? I'm
I
not
guess
sure.
we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I can't think of.
Oh, I actually think we skipped a scene. That the scene with all the stormtroopers on First Order
Oh yeah, of course. That's big
at the
time
ready.
shit. Yeah,
It's
Nazi
basically the same
imagery.
scene from the previous trailers, but just expanded a bit. Yeah, I mean, is there anything really to say
It's just
about
very
that?
Nazi. It's just very Nazi imagery.
Yeah, I'm still not a fan of
that's
that
nothing
armor.
new to Star Wars.
That armor, particularly from the back, just looks so fake to me. It's all completely white and black as well, which there's no real metallic element to it, which I dislike. Like even the pipe work on the canisters, the whatever troopers have on their back, they're all done in just black strips as opposed to
Yeah.
metal piping or anything. To me, it just looks very, I don't know. It looks like they're all in costume as opposed to wearing actual armor.
I totally agree. It's like the only aspect of the new Stormtrooper design that I like is the helmet, but the helmet I actually think is kind of cool, but everything else just doesn't really work. Like I think what they really should have done was just stick with the classic armor and just replace the helmet, because really that's all you really need to do to sell new Stormtrooper design. It's like that's what all of the previous Clone Trooper and Stormtrooper designs did when they upgraded. It's like when you went from Phase 1 Clone Trooper armor to Phase 2 Clone Trooper armor to Stormtrooper armor, the only thing that really changed was the helmet. Everything about the armor itself stayed pretty consistent.
That and
I
the
think they
shoulder
should have just
pads as well.
yeah,
that was
yeah.
pretty sick.
Well, helmet and shoulder pads, but everything else stayed consistent, and I think they should have just stuck with that. Stuck with the same sort of body armor, just with a new upgraded helmet.
And I definitely like the helmet
Because-
from the front, because I mean the shot immediately following the Nazi imagery one, where Finn's taking the helmet off. That helmet looks awesome, and none of that what I've just said about the rest of the armor applies to that close-up shot of the helmet. But it's the other shot with the helmet at the back and the full armor in general. I'm just not keen on it. It looks...
I'm waiting to. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Karen.
I'm waiting to see it in action before I have any judgment. I kind of have the same opinion.
Did you
I
ever
kind of
see
want to.
it?
Huh?
Did you see it at not Comic-Con, Celebration? Like when they were all walking around?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
but
I thought they were-
like full film, like everything.
Oh yeah, I see what you
showing.
mean.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't help they're all completely sparkling white. Like once they're gritted up, I think they probably look better. But I don't know.
Well,
Well,
like-
to
Like
me,
Finn is in the next scene.
Yeah, Finn's like
Yeah,
you know,
precisely,
looks a bit banged
He's got
up
like
in the.
blood on his
I mean,
helmet.
that close-up shot it does look good, but that's you can't see the rest of the armor, which is what I dislike. So I know whether or not it's just the grit or the lighting or the fact that I can't see the rest is I don't know. The
I
helmet,
find
at
it
least,
ironic
they've
that
got
it's
nailed.
been 30 years since we've had a stormtrooper actually wearing armor, as opposed to just having it all CG.
Yes, yeah.
I know that's
Yeah,
You could
that's
clearly
right.
tell. You could clearly tell that that's like an actual suit that he's wearing, whereas in the prequels, all the stormtroopers, all the clone troopers, it was just all CG.
Which really annoyed me
Which
because those
I-
armor sets looked awesome. I loved the clone trooper gear
Yeah,
and how it
but
evolved.
it's like I can understand why they would want to rely heavily on CG, because it's easier to do that than to try and find a whole bunch of extras who are all the same
Correct.
height to sell the fact that these are clones. But they should have at least had one or two full proper sets made for Temuera Mortensen to wear. Like, scenes where he's playing Commander Cody, interacting with Kenobi, should have been full proper Stormtrooper costume. It shouldn't have just been Temuera Mortensen in a blue screen GIMP suit with armor CGI'd on. He should have actually been in costume.
Yeah, I don't know why. It seems really odd, given the whole practical.
Because
effects.
George
So-
Lucas just loves his technology, man.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
true,
It's-
true. Okay.
George, yeah, the sad thing is the fact that George Lucas basically turned into executive meddling personified. He was the prequel trilogy were movies created by executive meddling and nothing else.
But he also
which is-
wasn't consistent. I mean, he was all a bit a fan of this big technology, but then didn't want it used for the Palpatine Mace fight.
Yeah,
Like,
which
so
is
he
really
just
weird.
like no, we have to keep this grounded and like. It's like
I thought that was
why?
more like a power struggle between him and Nick, probably more than anything. That's what I felt like. I
Yeah.
felt like Nick
A
made a really
lot-
great thing. Everybody was behind him, and then
Yeah.
Nick was like, "No, we're gonna get the emotions.
George-
No, we're not gonna do your awesome thing, Nick.
He had
Mm.
to,
It's not
he
like
had
you
to
could do
throw
both.
his he had to throw his weight around because it's like I remember watching the Revenge of the Sith commentary on the Blu-ray, the one that's composed of all the snippets from the interviews from basically everyone involved in the movie, and a lot of the bits where you heard guys like Ben Burt or the guys who did the CG talking about their interaction with George Lucas, you would actually hear them speak with venom in their voice of instances where they actually completed an effect, but then George Lucas would just show up and tell them to start from scratch so they could incorporate in some random element that he decided needed to be worked in. And it's like when even the old guard guys like Ben Burt, who's been with Lucas since day one, is talking about Lucas with fucking open contempt.
Yeah.
Take the hint.
Yeah.
But it's good that we're not having that problem now, or at least we hopefully won't.
No,
Yeah.
Anthony Daniels said that he's actually he prefers JJ way more than he did Lucas because JJ is far more of a collaborator than Lucas was.
I heard that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot more willing
That-
to listen to
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
people's
as
advice.
hard as I hit J.J. Abrams for what he did with the Star Trek movies, I will not deny that he is still a good, talented director in his own right. And I will say that he is well suited for a Star Wars movie, which was actually the reason why I was disappointed when he was picked, because to me he seemed like the safe option. Whereas what I want to see is, a Star Wars movie done by Christopher Nolan or something like that.
Oh god,
Well,
I
that
would
would
not
be
want
like
that.
Tarantino.
I
I
would
Star
not
Wars
that one.
Episode
Come on,
7.
But yeah, you get my point.
You
So,
can get
I think-
experimental with the side films though. I think.
Right, which is why I really, really look forward to Rogue One.
Yes,
I
I
think
am
that's probably the one I'm really looking
so
forward to.
Much more hyped for
Well,
that than I am the new trilogy.
Disney, if
Hannibal
you're
Lec-
watching this, the
Hannibal
four of
Lecter-
us, we'll totally make a film. Just hire us.
Yeah.
4 of us will direct.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
next,
it's
the
like
next
that-
anthology, we'll do it.
I have to see Rogue One because they got Hannibal Lecter himself, Mads Mikkelsen in there. So, and because
That's all
I
you need.
I just love the show Hannibal so much, and because of that, I just love Mads Mikkelsen. Like I have right here my signed by Mads Mikkelsen Hannibal season 1.
Nice. We're getting a
Alright,
little.
moving on, we have.
Yeah, I was going to say we're getting a little
yeah.
bit off topic now. So.
I'm sorry.
That's
Okay,
right.
moving on. So I guess the next thing is Kylo Ren.
Sort of.
Who is completely a Vader lover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
well,
didn't like how
we
obvious
start
that
with a
was.
shot like from the back. It's like closing in on the Star Destroyer with this big like red haze going over everything.
It's
And
a
then it
beautiful shot. Beautiful.
it looks amazing, very menacing. And then you get a close up of Kylo's face. You actually hear him
Sorry.
speak for the first time. Yeah, his voice. He sounds very generic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I thought that, and I didn't like how obvious the Vader thing was. It's like, oh, really? You're going full out? Okay, he's a Vader worshipper, or at least Rivera.
Like
No, he's only
literally.
fanatic.
Yeah,
Well, but still, he's literally knelt down before a shrine with Darth
Yeah.
Vader's fucking
and
helmet
did,
on.
did Luke not make sure that was destroyed? I mean, did he just leave it in Endor burning on the
Yeah,
pyre?
I
It seemed
hope
like
they
a
have, like, a
slight
little
oversight.
flashback or something that
actually,
explains
in the classic EU, Luke totally did just leave it there. There was a later scene in one of the EU novels where I can't remember which book, but it's the one where the Jedi Kype Duron turns to the dark side after being influenced by Exar Kun. And after that whole episode, Luke takes Kype Duron to the site of Vader's cremation on Endor, and they actually point out that it's like, okay, pile of long gone ashes and charred wood with some melted bits of plastoid and metal in there.
By
I
the way,
forgot
that was
about
Jedi, that was
actually.
Jedi Academy Book 3.
Oh, thank you very much. But yeah,
I'd forgotten about
But yeah.
that actually, but even then it was a
So-
bit weird that he'd left it. But at least it was a
Yeah.
molten pile of ash at that point. It wasn't like full helmet slightly distorted, with presumably the head still inside.
Oh,
Unless he went,
Well-
unless he took it up and said, "Here, scrape this out for me," and got all the yeah.
So, but then we move on to this next scene, which I actually found like really fascinating when it cut. You have Kylo again. I mean, what do you make of this scene? He's torturing a guy supposedly with the Force. We don't know. Is that Poe actually? Come to
Yeah,
think
it's
of
Poe.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So he's torturing Poe. From what it looks like, he seems to be like using the Force to like I don't know, put visions in his head or cause him
It's
extreme
sorcery
pain.
right there, man. He knows what's up. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, yeah. It's like
Wait.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's interesting, and it's like
And-
Sorry.
Loud.
I'm really interested to see how a self-taught Darksider is going to come about. Like, I want to
If he was
see
self-taught.
how if he's self-taught, because there's the Supreme Leader Snoke and all that. But
Who's
from
not
what
in
it
the
seems
race.
like,
Still a stupid.
yeah,
name.
he's not. But it seems like for him to be going around picking up these relics like Vader's helmet and the way he's built his lightsaber, it's very much like he built it himself. Like, he didn't like get instructions or anything like that. I think he's definitely it's pointing towards him being self-taught more than anything else.
Of course.
I get the feeling he's going to be an asset that the First Order sort of uses
Right.
as opposed to anything else. You know, he's
I
going to come
think the
forth,
Knight-
say, "I'm here to do whatever," and you know, and then they
Right.
Say, okay,
I
we'll
think
use
that
it."
the Knights of Ren and the First Order are in line with each other, but they're not the same sect at
Yeah.
all.
I get the feeling
They're-
the Imperials are
they're-
going to resent him, like with the same kind of thing as they did in the EU. How the Sith, like, oh, the Sith shouldn't be part of the Empire. You know, they've always been a blight on us. You know, we'd do better without them. But then they need them to help combat the what
Yeah.
should be the New
I
Jedi
agree.
Order.
I
agree.
Well, just going back to the EU thing, though, the thing I do find kind of ironic, though, is that the people who feel that the Sith are a blight on the Empire are almost exclusively the officers and the politicians. It's outright pointed out, even in the new canon in Lords of the Sith, that the Stormtrooper corps worship Vader. Like,
But that's-
Vader is...
That's more
Yeah,
because he's not like an officer, though.
Yeah. It's like Vader is a boots-on-the-ground commander who's willing to put himself through the same hell that the Stormtroopers themselves go through, and because of that, they develop a very strong loyalty to him because he leads by example. But by that same token, Vader has absolutely no patience for the officers and the politicians because these are people who have no real capability. They just kind of inherited power through wealth or prestige or whatever, and it's like they got no real merits. So of course Vader has no respect for them and has no qualms about killing them on the spot for slights.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
And I think that's actually a natural progression for the Knights of Ren to be upholding, because not just Kylo, but like all the rest of them look like
Yeah.
Vader. So it seems that the respect that Vader commanded throughout the Empire
Held true.
it's held true, and it's also segueing into this new generation, and that these people are like, oh, like we want to emulate how great that dude was.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
seem to all be going most particularly for the kind of samurai backing of the helmet.
Yeah, the
as
neck
well.
guard, yeah.
That kinds to be.
Well, it's like
seems
one
pretty
thing I've been
fundamental.
realizing since watching this trailer and really looking at Kylo Ren now that he's lowered his hood and let us see his full helmet is the fact that he's actually not so much a Darth Revan ripoff. Is that
No.
his helmet
No,
and stuff looks to be more so based off of a lot of the original concept art for Vader's helmet, actually, with the kind of the
Ralph McCurry design.
with the much simpler, more samurai style mask and the much smaller sort of slanting head guards, like a lot further, a lot tighter, a much tighter fit, less bulky.
They do seem to be trying to hark, or at least not trying, but they are harkening, whether they want to or not, back to a lot of the old EU aesthetics with that. I mean, like the intricate design around the mask, where Vader's helmet was resting. I don't know if you noticed, was very much the whole triangle thing that the Sith like to use, like with the holocrons being the pyramids.
Oh yeah, Sith Lords love triangles, and it's like
I mean, it is the
it's
strongest shape,
Lord
so I guess
love
it makes sense for them.
triangles. You,
Illuminati.
Illuminati confirmed, yeah.
you had to do it, didn't you, Antoine?
yeah,
But I
Get
can't
my
say
third
I'm a
eye.
fan
Get
of
my
the
third eye.
not Revan, the Revan, sorry. Revan helmet's awesome. I'm not a fan of the Kylo Ren helmet. It looks both too simple and too intricate at the same time. If you know what I mean.
It's a weird mesh, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's what it
I don't feel it. I hope it's something that gets
symmetry isn't
discarded
there.
in this film, maybe upgraded for a different thing in the next film, or even just taken off or something. I don't like this being the face. You know, this isn't like a Vader face. This isn't going to be a symbol of the new era.
yeah.
I feel.
I prefer it with hood up, I think, than hood down.
Oh, definitely put up. The helmet looks ridiculous from the back. It's like it's too short. It doesn't descend far enough like Vader's does. So you see his neck, which just as a silhouette just doesn't look impressive.
Yeah, and it's like if I'm kind of on the same page there because it's like the helmet just seems. The thing about it, about like what you were saying about the face of the New Order, it's like the reason why Vader's helmet worked so well as the face of the Empire was because there was kind of a intricate simplicity to the way that Vader's helmet was done. It's like it wasn't so much an intricate thing as much as it was a helmet that was deliberately designed to look like some terrifying gargoyle face. And because because of that, it worked. There was a sort of simplicity in its intricacy. Whereas with this one, it's kind of the exact opposite. There's an intricacy to the simplicity that just doesn't really work.
Yeah, all the best
It's-
designs in everything, like even going back to something like superhero costumes and stuff, all through fiction, the most intricate, simple designs are the best. So pushing the complexity to the absolute limit without getting overdone or convoluted. That's when it works best. And I feel like they haven't struck the balance very well with this one.
I think it's really
Yeah.
still silver parts though, because if you look at the later stuff with the rain scene, it looks much better without the gleaming silver. Like
yeah, I'd
the
agree.
whole
It does,
the whole thing comes together much better, I think, than when it's like stark contrast of the silver.
Yeah, like with the Stormtrooper thing, it looks probably better with grit. But I don't know. But we'll have to see. I'm not like openly against it. I'm like, oh god, it looks terrible. It doesn't quite gel with me, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
But what was after
You get
that
some
bit, though?
uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what was after?
moving on, we have a brief ship battle on Jakku in the ruins of the downed Star Destroyer that we keep seeing.
Again,
Nothing really much to
beautiful.
say other than it looks good.
Yeah. it looks
There's a
beautiful.
lot of fast-paced movement.
I do love it so. Not really much I can say about that, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's just action sequence.
All
Imme-
the sound effects look are correct, so
Yeah.
that for what it's worth.
They just once again got the feel of it down perfectly.
Yeah.
But moving on
It's like
to sorry.
It's like, again, as someone who doesn't really care for Han Solo or the Millennium Falcon, I have to admit it
Me
still was
too. I
kind of
always
cool
forget that you
seeing
don't.
it still was kind of
we all
cool
don't,
seeing the
Antoine.
Falcon flying about. But yeah, it's like end of the day, it's like I liked Han Solo and the
Oh, everybody,
Falcon
for a
when I was
second, on the podcast right now, everybody say happy birthday to Matt in 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday,
Happy birthday,
Matt.
All right, cool. Continue.
All right, but yeah, it's like I did like Han and the Falcon when I was a little kid, but these days I'm much more for the Jedi, the Sith, and the big Star Destroyers. It's like I go for the
Jedi, the Sith.
I go for the ostentatious and I guess the imposing. Whereas the Falcon, the Falcon is more of a rule of cool sort of thing, but at the same time, it's like it is still kind of cool seeing the Falcon show up, but.
For me, I'm the exact
Nostalgia.
opposite. I'm similar with Han and Chewbacca. I mean, I love them as characters, but they're not really my focus. But the Millennium Falcon for me is the definitive Star Wars ship. I love it. It's not so much the design and just because it was the flagship of the original series. It's just, to me, I love the idea of a livable ship, like a mobile home. Like it is
Yeah.
a home that functions as everything you need it to be
Motor
for a ship.
home.
And it was a freighter ship that turned into like a fighter.
Yeah, and the fact
Yeah.
that it's custom, it's
Yeah,
glorious.
it's kinda crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite ship.
I actually got the strategy guide for Rogue Squadron in my Star Wars collection, just a little relic I picked up at the used bookstore, and I was reading it, and it was talking about how you can put in a little cheat code to unlock the Millennium Falcon for doing the Death Star trench run. And one of the things they did, and the thing, it was described, the Millennium Falcon was described as a hot rod, and that is just so accurate. It's a fucking hot rod.
It is completely custom built and not a one-trick pony because it's extremely versatile, but it's not the sort of thing you can take to every engagement. It's too big.
No.
It's too big to be reliable as a fighter, although it can definitely hold its own in a dogfight. And it's too small to do anything in terms of the big ships. It is just like a defendable mobile home.
Yeah.
But moving
So
on from
it's-
that,
We go
The
inside the
Millennium-
Millennium Falcon in the next shot.
yes, the most important scene of the trailer, in my opinion, for what it shows and kind of the tone it strikes as well, with the whole "it's true, all of it"
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Your hand impression.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
For
Thanks.
me, I gotta say, for me, it's like all the instances of Harrison Ford showing up in the trailer don't really get my blood pumping. They make me roll my eyes. It's like every single time he shows up, it's like, oh god, blatant
my.
fanboy pandering. Can we please move on? It's like, show me something new.
I see where you're coming from, but I don't think that's the intention. It doesn't
Yeah,
feel. I don't feel
not
like
for
this.
this
It was.
one.
It was for the previous one, definitely.
Yeah, for the previous
and I
one,
can see
sure,
why people
yeah.
would take issue with it. I
I'm-
didn't, but I can see why people would. But this one was. I don't feel was like, oh look, Han's in it. This one was definitely him establishing a point.
Necessary.
Yeah.
He's the mentor for him in
Yes.
this.
Yeah, which
Really?
I love. If Han's the mentor, I love it. Because it's new, it's fresh, and I'd
Rather
love
than
to see
being
him in
like a
that
Jedi,
role.
like make it be like an actual just person in the universe.
Yeah.
I want him to kind of be the first mentor and set up the whole perspective of the characters, and then they meet Luke and have the
Yeah.
whole overlapping philosophies. It'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
So like
New mentor for each film.
Yeah, it's like
Han, Leia, Luke.
yeah, it'd be like Jaina was in the EU, how she was pretty much a pilot first, Jedi second for the longest time. I love that.
Even got some
kind
training
of,
from Boba as well.
yeah. I love the
Yeah.
overlapping philosophies. That's where, cause that's what best defines characters. The different styles and viewpoints.
I'm totally on board if they go with that for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And while it was very unsubtle, I did love the imagery of him standing exactly where Ben was when he was saying it's all.
Oh wait, is he really standing in the same
Well,
spot?
not
the
same spot,
area,
same
yeah.
same
It's the
room,
same
yeah.
room, yeah.
And it's like he goes from being huggy religions to no good as not
Yeah.
as good as a blaster at his side. and
Like I
then
think
to
that's very
screw.
special. That
Oh.
that he yeah, exactly.
It's like he's seen some shit.
I think it's very special that he is buying into the faith.
Yeah.
Which begs the question: he must have seen something since the films, because let's face it, he's not really.
Yeah,
seen
there's gotta be
anything
more.
during-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was half
not
blind
really
when Luke was
been-
going around with his
Yeah.
lightsaber.
Yeah, he's not really been exposed to much badass Jedi stuff.
I hadn't
so,
thought
you
about
know.
that
and
actually. That's pretty much the only
Death
time
Star.
he's in a direct confrontation with a not Jedi, but seeing with the Jedi, and he's blind. I'd completely forgotten
Yeah.
about that.
He heard
should
some,
have been
some
like,
shit.
yes,
He
Luke didn't do
heard some
anything.
shit. He heard some
Like,
Well,
shit.
yeah,
well,
Luke
there,
did do a
there was that one time where he pulled out his blaster and opened up on Darth fucking Vader, and Vader just yanked the blaster out of his hand.
But
That
even,
would
was
make it
like-
favorite.
but even so, I don't feel like that's enough to justify his like it's true, all of it kind of expression.
Yeah,
Like,
there has been more that,
he,
that
he was
happened.
he was never visibly shaken up by that in the original trilogy.
Yeah,
Now,
which
the
is kind of
stories, I think-
bizarre.
I think might be a misnomer, because I think some people are thinking that obviously what he might be referring to is the original trilogy, but I think what he can be referring to is something that might have happened within the last 30 years.
That's what I mean.
Because I don't think Luke as a hermit for 30 years is going to happen. I don't see how they can pull that off. Like even if they do that, I don't see how they will pull that off. Like that doesn't like
Doing
as a writer,
that
I don't
would-
see how you would even pitch that.
Going
to
by
someone.
the films alone, it doesn't even really make much sense that he would do that.
It doesn't. It means he's failed.
I
He's
know.
supposed, he's
So-
supposed to pass on what he has learned. If he
Exactly,
hasn't
so
done
here's the
that,
thing.
he's failed.
There's a book, Weapon of the Jedi. Me and I haven't read it. Which is a book titled Journey to the Force Awakens. There is a tidbit in there which indicates that Luke has aspirations to rebuild the Jedi Order. Like he explicitly states that within the book. A book that is specifically set for setting up,
Marked right on top of the page.
Right. So for that thing, I think that's on purpose. Like I think that he's going to make an attempt. Now, is he successful? That's the thing. I don't know if he's going to be successful completely, and maybe the Knights of Ren is a division of that or something like that. But
Oh my god.
Oh god. Yeah,
Can you imagine
they
if
could
like
be
the last
students.
shot in this movie is like Luke leading Rey and Finn into this big room, and then he just opens it, and there's like hundreds of Jedi just
or just
sitting in-
underground.
Not
Yeah.
too many.
Yeah,
It can only be
a
like
big
150.
city, just a city of Jedi. Just can you imagine just a city of Jedi, and that's just how it
It
ends?
could be what the flagged temple thing is that we'll get to in a
Or
minute.
a few dozen or something
but
like that.
it-
And
it
it's
can-
like,
it
yeah, we
max-
can't really go out right now.
the
We
max
might
it
get wiped
can,
out again.
the max it can be is 150ish, because that's
Yeah,
what
of
he can
course.
reasonably.
But I'm just imagining,
in-
like, you
in
just imagine how
10 years.
crazy that would be, though. Just a big city of Jedi. It's like, Luke, you've been busy, haven't you?
Also, another point is that what does Luke learn in Return of the Jedi?
The Jedi are returning.
Quite a bit.
Okay, well, not just that. Okay. What did both Yoda and Obi-Wan want him to do? And they were
They
incorrect about it.
Vader.
they wanted him. Yeah, they wanted him to hunt down and kill Vader's ass. Like you
Right.
know,
And then how was he successful? What did he do?
He redeemed him.
By
That's the big lesson.
he
redeemed
by
him, he refused.
basically by refusing to fight.
Exactly. So then that makes me think too that going forward, his philosophy might continue being that, and then when he's teaching new people, that could be a reason for the Knights of Ren to be like, "Hey, no, there are people dying. We want to like to help." Like it could be like a
Revan
Revan,
thing. Yeah.
Alec type thing situation going on, and it could be that like Luke's like, "No, like I'm telling you, like we have to be pacifist here, or whatever." And they're like, "Nah, we can't do that." And that could also play into the fact that the Knights of Ren aren't completely in line with the First Order. They're just kind of parallel with them. But I mean, that's a thought too. That could
I like
possibly
that idea, actually.
I
happen.
really hope
I
they
don't know.
don't, because that's the whole. My first wave of apprentices failed, and I'm now too scared to make more kind of that thing, and it's overdone. But on top of that,
True.
him being a pacifist makes no sense. First of all, the way the character is portrayed in the EU is pretty much perfect for Luke's side of things, and also absolute pacifism is not only ridiculous in the first place, but also doesn't it go in line with the same person who went up and fought Vader? Yes.
Well, I mean that's the thing. That's the thing that he learned at the end, though, and then it was stupid for him because he got fried by Sidious. So
Threw his
God,
lightsaber to the side.
I know when he threw his lightsaber,
Yeah.
I'm a Jedi.
Okay.
Just defend yourself. Just defend yourself.
And that's the thing.
That's fine.
He defeated Vader and didn't kill him. You know, it's pacifism, but not absolute pacifism. So
Right,
that doesn't then
exactly.
translate to we must never ever fight because it's wrong.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's not the way to do it. And
There's
I
just
really
no
hope they
way
don't.
there's just no way that Luke would pick up that lesson, because if anything, the lesson that Luke learned wasn't so much never fight, it's try and use combat as kind of a tool to further my own goals. It's like you find a way to use conflict to promote peace.
Neutralize,
you know.
not kill.
Yeah.
Neutralize.
Yep.
Yeah.
Neutralize.
Which is a
Yeah.
good thing to go for because that's what made him such a great Grand Master. The fact that he was the best of Obi-Wan and Yoda combined.
Take off their hand, not their heart.
Yeah.
Take off their hand.
Whereas Anakin was
That's beautiful.
fuck the heart, I want your head.
Yeah.
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 What you did to like
Literally
3
to
Tuskens
Dooku.
in like a second. Oh, and
Yeah.
Dooku as well. Oh, he
Yeah.
loved heads. He
Yeah.
loved heads.
Oh yeah. Anakin Skywalker was a fucking headhunter. There's no two ways around it. If he could decapitate you, he would.
You just
It's like
know that all
every
of the
s-
younglings are headless.
Thanks, Callan.
Yes, like just watch the Robot Chicken short. It's like how's he killing all the sunflowers? How's he killing all the sunflowers?
Hi, honey,
Oh.
I'm home. Oh, I left flowers on the table.
Because Anakin got the point at first. He disarmed Dooku, but he's like, nah, let me take his head as well.
Yeah. Well, to be
Thanks,
fair,
Sidious.
that
Thanks for
wasn't
egging me
Anakin.
on.
That was Sidious egging him on. You know, he was.
Yeah, that's true. Because he wasn't
Okay.
gonna stop.
But-
If
Yeah.
if Obi-Wan was there instead of Sidious, that would have been a very good lesson for Anakin. But no, it had to be the wrong guy.
Yep.
Do it.
Okay, so moving on, there's a brief shot of the Millennium Falcon exiting hyperspace. Really not much to say other than
Just pretty. Just
it's,
pretty.
it looks good. It
Yeah.
does that. Next scene is actually
Hello.
Sorry, Evan just stopped. He just went like,
What? What was that?
This Evan's expression though. Evan's just like,
I thought I did something horribly wrong.
no, you didn't. I was just squealing because lots of dead bodies. But go ahead.
Okay. You scared me there for a minute. I was like, what did I do? I'm sorry. Next shot, Knights of Ren in the rain.
One of which in the background is holding a giant club.
Yeah, what is he holding? I
Like,
really want
Callan,
to
can
know.
you like zoom in on that possibly when you
It's
edit
like a
this?
giant machete.
Well, yeah, it's either a really big blade or some sort of
It's like
club.
I'm just imagining like this big like anime sword.
That's
just,
exactly
like,
what I'm thinking of anime club style, like when they go for
Yeah.
ludicrous stuff. They've run out of ideas for weapons, so they just go, give them a huge club. So I'm
It's
really
like-
hoping that isn't
or
the case.
Or give him a giant cleaver.
maybe it's a pizza server.
Oh god damn.
Or a paddle, you know.
A
he was-
pizza
they were in
pa-
a rowboat
a pizza
beforehand
pa-
and he was paddling them.
A pizza paddle. It's like we ran out of weapons, so just take this.
I mean,
I gotta admit,
And then
though,
it's like
some of them have guns as well, so these aren't all
Yeah.
lightsaber equipped.
Nah,
Yeah, only
I
one
think
of
it might
them.
just be Kylo.
The guy directly behind Kylo seems to have a very similar helmet, but the rest of them have, you know, different variations. Like the guy on
It's
the
a,
right
it's
has
a
kind of a
very kind of
knight's
faded
visor
shot,
kind
so
of
it's kind
thing.
of hard to see what's in it.
Yeah, and then someone in the back's got a
Something
hood,
else
and
I-
someone on the left
this
is a
is
bit Mandalorian.
This is incredibly minor, but this is quote unquote the first time in the films we've ever seen a lightsaber ignited in the rain.
Well, someone actually
no,
pointed
no,
out to
no,
me that
no.
Obi-Wan
No,
and Jango.
yeah,
Attack
Kamino.
of the
Oh,
Clones.
stupid.
Yeah, no,
Stupid.
I did. Evan, I did the same thing.
Yeah, Kamino.
Really? Oh.
Because whenever you
'cause
think that fight, you think the fist fight, not bit. not
Yeah,
the
Right,
Yeah.
and also you think about like it moving around.
Well,
This one's actually static.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, for me, it's like regarding that fight, for me, it's the exact opposite because I'm always using the clip of Kenobi deflecting Jango Fett's blaster shots as he rockets away to illustrate Sarisu. And of course, that's the bit of the fight that I'm always consistently watching. So, of course, I keep forgetting about the fist fight.
I love that fist fight.
Just wondering, guys, is the club wielder a Wookiee?
What?
The
No,
last,
no,
the
he's
last
too
flash
short.
of lightning makes it look like the face is more mask-like, so I'm guessing not. But every other part of that
No, he's too short for a
scene
Wookiee.
looks like it's a Wookiee.
He's too short to be a Wookiee.
And a Wookiee would make
Unless
sense
he's
to be
very
using
young.
a club.
Or a midget Wookiee.
'Cause
There's
even
no
looks like
way.
he's got-
They're,
even
they're,
looks like
all,
he's got
they're
the
definitely
Chewbacca
all
sash.
human. They're definitely all human.
Or humanoids.
Or humanoid.
Yeah.
I
That'd be
keep
cool if we
saying
got like a
Wookiee isn't.
Zabrak in there somewhere, or a.
Racism
Or,
at
I
its
mean,
finest.
I would like to see more species actually. Like, what's up with all these human characters? God dang.
I'm hoping they're going to, because I mean, even in Battlefront, they put in the Quarians, which was a really
Which I
weird
love.
choice.
Oh, I love that they put even more than Quarians. They put Quarians. They
Well,
have
yeah,
they have
Rhodians.
Celestians. How you say they're Celestians?
Celestian?
Celestin? Is it Celestin?
Celestians.
Celestian?
Celestian.
Celestin?
I believe
Rhodian,
they don't have
Quarren.
Twi'leks. They have
They do have
what
Twi'leks,
else
don't
do
they?
they have? They do.
I think
Do
I saw a Twi'lek. Not necessarily in gameplay, but in the posters and stuff.
They
I
might. They
thought.
might. But yeah, that I mean, I would like to see more. I would like to see more. Less humans. Less humans.
Yeah, the more aliens, the better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it might be a Wookiee. I'm not necessarily saying it is or if it's likely. I'm just saying it looks from what the silhouette is, except for like one flash of lightning, that it
Well,
could very possibly be.
Something else I want to say about this shot is in the previous trailers we've had scenes where like Kylo Ren's fighting in this area and it's like everything's on fire. And I'm wondering, is like this shot that we're seeing here kind of like the precursor to that? They're all like preparing for battle and stuff like
it could
that.
be the aftermath.
Or the aftermath, yeah.
No, that was the book, Antoine. That wasn't the film. Looks like the
Possibly.
one behind in the back is a woman as well. From
Oh
the
yeah, someone did
stature
say that.
and
Someone mentioned that it
arms.
is a woman.
Really? How?
Yeah.
How do you tell?
The ar-
Seriously.
the arm
The
and
figure.
stature figure.
She's got the hourglass.
Yeah, the way
Oh.
she moves. Other than that, it's a very
Huh.
thin man.
No, I think
Very-
someone pointed out that she had like a breastplate and stuff like that, and they're trying to put more women in. So
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got
The beautiful
another.
X-Wings.
What?
outmatched stormtroopers.
Yeah, in a
X-Wings versus
beautiful shot,
stormtroopers?
by the way. What?
What happened?
No, what you said something and I didn't hear you.
Oh no, I just said that the stormtroopers are outmatched. It's like X-wing
Oh.
versus stormtroopers.
Right. No, but there's like this, this castle appears to be crumbling. Everything's on fire, so we don't know what planet this is or nothing, but shit's
Oh, by
going
the way,
down.
Evan,
Yeah.
do you think that this could be Deveron? See, people who know. That's why I don't have to explain anymore.
You're not. I actually like. I actually had a. After I read the book, I actually kind of had that thought when I
Right.
thought of the previous trailer. I was like,
Yeah, I'm wondering. I don't
Do
know.
you want to
I don't know.
elaborate on that?
Okay, so you put a spoiler right now, but on Weapon of a
okay.
Jedi, like Luke finds an old Jedi temple that's on a planet called Deveron, and it's basically this. It's like a forest with ruins and things like that. So
possibly.
And in the
training,
book,
Jedi Training Center. Jedi
Yeah,
Training Center.
C-3PO said that that Luke went back there. So
He did.
and this was C-3PO in the Force Awakens. Like it's the C-3PO that's actually in the Force Awakens. Like so it's pretty cool.
Because the beginning of the book takes place like in the timeline, and then the rest is all flashback.
Seems like
Right.
a really weird place to have a Jedi temple. I mean, the Deveronians were never one for being the kind to have Jedi temples.
That's
on the
why
planet.
you'd never expect it to be there.
Right.
Oh God! No,
Wait, hang on,
no,
hang
no,
on, hang on, hang on.
no.
Deveron was one of the thing was where that temple in Clone Wars was. That's where Savage Press kills Halsey. Is that Halsey?
That wasn't Deveron.
I think that's
It was.
Deveron. What's
Yeah,
That
but
wasn't
Deveron. That was the jungle of Deveron.
That was Deveron.
Was
Oh,
Yeah,
it was-
it was
Oh.
explicitly mentioned as Deveron. So yeah.
Oh,
That's interesting.
man, that temple's getting some mileage.
I know. There you go.
It doesn't look
Okay,
anything
so-
like that temple though. But,
No, it's different. It's different.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
but I mean, it's a precedence, I guess, because I always wondered why they were having two Jedi just guarding one tower on a planet.
Right.
It's like we see like there's like corpses, just like bones as stormtroopers, like holes in their chest from Savage's
Yeah,
staff
glaive.
Big fucking axe.
or that.
Interesting. Okay, so there's that. Possibly Deveron. I love that shot. Those X-wings sweeping across is like
Again,
well, Those
fantastic.
guys are screwed.
Hopefully we get some
then-
really good air combat because I don't think we get a lot of that in the prequels.
Well, we'll be getting space combat and DLC if anything, so it's probably going to be air combat to start with. The first film will be air combat, then maybe we'll get that in the second film.
We didn't have the budget for space, but here's some atmosphere.
Sorry, no space battles. Yeah, what what do we think of the scene after that? Where after the sort of dogfight?
Yes.
You mean
We get a
Poe
good-
and
Poe and Finn.
well, the voiceover definitely indicates that he's some sort of force sensitive because they say Jedi right on his freaking face.
Yeah. Possibly.
But also, I think this also plays into what I was saying earlier is that they know each other from earlier.
Yeah, because he walks past and whacks him on the shoder and moves on. You know, they seem
like,
to be
thanks,
at least
man.
familiar.
Kind of like, you know.
I think.
Hang on, no.
Go.
He was being tortured by Ren. Kylo, Ren.
You're starting to connect the dots like I was.
He gets Poe off the ship. That's why they're crashing in the TIE fighter. That
Yeah.
makes more sense. That's why he has
Yeah.
the jacket. Okay, so maybe
So
he goes to the town to get help for him because he's injured or whatever. Okay, that's starting to make more sense.
So here's what I think is gonna.
I can just see all the pieces just falling into place on your face right now.
I hadn't really
Yeah, 'cause
examined
here's
that
the
scene
thing.
before.
So in the San Diego Comic-Con trailer, we see a stormtrooper, and if you look at his body type, it looks very much like John Boyega's body type, walking Poe into like the interrogation area or whatever, like to the detention
Right.
center, right? And then now in this trailer, we see Poe getting freaking tortured by Kylo, and then maybe like Finn sees that and is like, what? No, that's so evil. and then he helps Poe get out of there, and then that's why he takes his jacket, possibly because the jacket's a resistance jacket, so it's just to be like, hey, look it, I'm cool, guys, look it, I have your swag, I have your swag.
It could have typed like it as a sign of recognition, like
Right.
take this to them, they'll know you're from me or whatever. You're not a traitor.
Yeah.
But also that scene could be where the light starts to speak to Finn, like it's like don't let this happen, save him, like Vision
Right.
style.
Also, I would like to see more Oscar Isaac. They only had him twice in this. Well, no, 3 times I guess because he was in the X-Wing too. But like, I thought he was gonna be more of a central character. I thought he was it's gonna be the 3, but it feels more like it's gonna be the 2.
Oh, definitely. I never felt that he was going to be like a part of the trio. I feel like he's going to be
Same,
quite
yeah.
prominent, but
strong
not-
supporting character.
Yeah, strong supporting
Right.
character, definitely. Because there's only so much
he's
you can do with
Wedge.
a pilot. Yeah, precisely.
He's
That-
a wedge.
He's Wedge from the EU. There's only so much you can do with a pilot. Without it being like, oh, what, the pilot's now a soldier, a smuggler, an everything kind of person, which they can be, but there's a limit to it thematically speaking.
Right.
Oh! Since we're just talking about Wedge for a second, I thought you guys might find this a little bit amusing. I basically concluded that with my friend Kevin, he is a huge fan of Kyle Katarn because he played Jedi Outcast on GameCube. So there's you, Evan. He read Shatterpoint, so he basically worships Windu because fucking
I'm liking this
Shatterpoint.
guy.
But he also played Rogue Squadron, so he also worships Wedge. So that is Kevin's holy trinity of Star Wars characters: Mace
pretty
Windu,
good-
Kyle
pretty good
Katarn,
trinity.
fucking Wedge.
That's a pretty good
Trio.
group right there. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of exposure on each of them as well.
Yeah.
Something
So
like Plo Koon.
That'd be cool. Party.
Hashtag Plo lives.
So now I think
If only they
maybe
didn't show him utterly blow up, that might be
I-
possible.
Yeah.
I think what
What?
I think what we need to do at some point is maybe put together our own little holy trinities of Star Wars characters, like just as a project to do in the future. It's like, okay, what is your holy trinity?
Well, mine would
Like,
definitely be the big 3.
Who will be your pilot? Who will be like? It's like make your own D&D, Star Wars like group. Who would they be?
Everyone in the comments, like, put your holy trinity right
We
now.
can do that
good
at the
job.
end of this video
Good
if
job
you want.
interacting.
We
Good
can
job
do that at the
interacting.
end of this video if you want. And then
I have to think of that.
Cool
Oh man,
comments.
I can think of
No, I'd have to sleep on that one.
Oh, okay, I've got it already in my head. So
that. Do we have questions, by the way? I know we're supposed to be talking about the trailer, but
I figured we can do that at the end.
okay.
As in
I know if
rather-
we had them.
So the next significant scene, because we kind of already glossed over the stuff that happens after the Force battle, is I like to call it the flag scene with Han Solo and
Yes.
Finn.
And the
Oh no, we
very
forgot about the
Mandalore
explosion.
logo.
The explosion in the oh, just the explosion. Never mind.
We'd already seen that.
It's
pretty much,
just an
hadn't we?
Yeah, no.
explosion.
Never mind. Never mind. I thought there was more. That's why I was like, oh.
Well, it sets.
What's the significance of that explosion? Well, it's big. Stuff's flying.
Well, having said earlier about Rey being more in control, she definitely seems it. But that scene is probably
Right.
where she's most parallel to Finn. Like they're both kind of like,
She's more shocked. She's like afraid. She's more like, fuck, that's all right.
yeah, she's like, or confused or stuff. Whereas he's kind of like,
It's like that's what she says in the movie.
He's like, oh my god, they blow things up.
yeah.
They're
and
blown.
And then we have the flag scene, which
Yeah.
Mandalorian
Has a lot of symbols.
Yes, one of which is the Mandalorian symbol. So that's a thing.
That's a thing.
It looks,
Also, who's that big red robot that's to the right? Like when I saw that guy, I was like, the hell? Who are you? What
It's
are you?
not-
What is your purpose?
it's not Mr. Bones, and therefore it's a disappointment.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Bones. Actually, I like in this. You guys have seen Prisoner of Azkaban, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I easily find it to be the best Harry Potter film, like pretty much hands
Oh
down.
yeah, it's the
and-
best by far for
Easily.
quality
Yeah,
of the book as well.
and
as the
part
good
of it
film
was
side
its
things.
set up into scenes. Like if you remember, like the leaky cauldron scene, like before we even get into Harry and the plot or whatever, you see like a wizard just turning his coffee with his finger. With some of the Hogwarts stuff, you have the whopping willow, like just small little things like that. I think this is going to be one of those moments where it's like it's kind of a segue to a new scene, but you get to feel the world, like the world building is going to be there,
Atmosphere.
like. Yeah, just a small little thing. Like you have BB-8 and Finn just looking at this droid. Like it's a very small moment, but it helps like build out like
Yeah, no, I
the
definitely don't
world
think
we
it's
have.
that significant. It's just kind of like a random droid. But he reminds me of something. I'm not sure what it's from. Oh, well, no.
He
I remember
does kind of look
Portal,
like the
Portal.
Portal is the big one. Yeah, I remember. But it's also the Clone Wars Mandalorian camp. R2D2 fixes one of the droids up, and it looks very much like that.
Oh.
But which actually Mandalore symbol, Mandalorian camp, not really a good viable connection. I hadn't thought that before, but
Death
And it's
Watch.
interesting that we have Han going to this enclave or whatever it is, hideout, and has the Mandalorian symbol, and then we also saw a Mandalorian within the Knights of Ren. So it's kind of interesting to see where they are within the
Yeah,
galaxy. Now, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm hoping this isn't like a Yavin 4 situation where Han's kind of leading them to like a rebel base, because that would imply, well, underground, as in hidden, which would imply they're not currently running the galaxy, which I don't want to see.
Oh yeah, regarding
looks
the
too underground for my
Mandalorians,
liking.
yeah. Oh yeah, regarding the Mandalorians, just going back to that for a second. One thing that I think is worth considering is that in TCW they basically had the Death Watch splitting off into two groups when Maul took over, because it's like we had the one group who refused to acknowledge Maul's leadership because he
Night
wasn't
Owls.
Mandalorian, whereas the other half were perfectly willing to accept him because Pre Vizsla accepted him as the strongest, so therefore he rules. So the Mandalorians splitting off into two different sects, and maybe one of those sects being the one controlled by Maul eventually ends up linking up with the Knights of Ren, and
yeah, that'd be kind of
because,
possibly.
cool.
Could be
A Sith
Bo-Katan as
affi-
well, her ilk.
yeah.
Night Owl.
Could be.
A Sith affiliated branch of the Mandalorians affiliating itself with the Knights of Ren, because they're basically a Sith cult. Like, from the impression, all the impressions basically scream Sith cult. These guys practically worship Vader, so Sith
Totally
fucking
possible.
cult.
Yeah.
Also,
So,
I wanted to point out how badass Rey looks with that magnum in her fist.
Oh yeah, that's the bit. That's
Look
one
at
of my
it. Just look at her
favourite
just walking with it. She's just so cool about it. She's like, she seems way too well trained. Like or just the way she carries herself seems way too well suited to just be a scavenger. I think.
She seems like the sort of person. I think they're going with the Aang thing, where she was trained, or she was at least experienced with the whole Jedi thing. Quite worldly, but then decided not to go for the whole thing.
Antoine,
I put it better than last time I
hold
explained
yourself
it,
together,
but,
man.
Yeah, she's kind of like, I don't want to be a part of this. I'm going to be, away.
That's exactly what I think.
Yeah. She just doesn't. That seems like a good story to tell with her, and it's new for Star Wars.
I like her. Like, especially if she removed herself. I think I like that the most. But rather than be like, let's hide her away because she's our precious child and we don't want her to
Oh no, that's
get
what,
in the way.
That's what I mean with the Aang thing. She ran away as not necessarily
Right,
shirking her responsibilities, but not wanting them.
Right.
But it would be for a refreshing breath of air as well from Anakin, who was all about like, I'm the chosen one, woo.
Right. It'd be really good to see that, because Aang was always about he was always capable of fighting and doing well, but he just never brought himself to do it.
The only distinction would be that Aang was ultimately a kid, so he could get away with it, whereas she'd be
That's
kind
it.
of shirking her responsibilities as an elder person.
So,
Well,
But we
then again,
skipped a load of scenes though there.
yeah. Then again, regarding that whole thing, we do
Oh
also.
no, I
have
was talking about her
Cade-
magnum in the flag scene that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but regarding her responsibility thing, we do have Cade Skywalker in Legacy, and one of his big personality traits was, the fact that he was a bit of a self-centered douchebag, and it's like this was a guy who spent the better part of 20 years shirking his responsibilities. It's like the only reason why he decided to even do anything about the Sith at all was because, oh, you're bothering me and you won't leave me alone. Well, I guess I have to kill you all.
Yeah, I really hope they don't go that route.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Cade is not
it's
the
like,
character you want.
To emulate.
Yeah. I like the character of Cade Skywalker, but that's only because he's a good character. But as a person, that guy is, he's like 2 steps away from actually being evil. Like, he's even worse than Anakin was.
Yeah,
and that's saying something.
He's good for stories, particularly the legacy style, but I don't want him on a trilogy as a flagship character of a trilogy. It's not. They need to be ultimately. Well, Cade wasn't not good, but you know what I mean.
Right. We get it.
More Jedi-esque.
So moving on, we got
Luke
stormtroopers.
Skywalker.
What?
No, yeah, you're right. Stormtroopers. Yeah, go ahead.
Stormtroopers, lots of them. Everything's burning. We have the Chrome Stormtrooper who I know the game. Yeah, Phasma. I thought it was Plasma for a second. I want to say Plasma.
I'm not liking the names thus far. Are you guys? Phasma.
There's Star
Snoke,
Wars names.
Ren.
That's what happens. You
Yeah,
hate
I
them at
would-
first,
I
and then
would
you start saying it over
guys-
hours.
Personally.
Guys, I'm also in that same boat where I just don't really like a lot of the names because yes, Star Wars names great, but the thing is, when you get all the various characters with their Star Wars names, they still have names that generally fit in with their station and their lot in life, and in and of themselves can still be taken seriously. Like a name like Boba Fett makes perfect sense for a super badass bounty hunter, but at the same time you wouldn't be calling the leader of the Galactic Empire Boba Fett. Supreme Leader Boba Fett just doesn't really work. Whereas and that's the reason why I have such a dislike for the name Snoke. All of the other names for characters who were in positions of power or major villains were names that you could still take seriously, even if they didn't sound like they came from our world. Or in the case of Palpatine, which does sound like it comes from our world. But still, it's like all of the villain names you could take seriously. They sounded, it's like even if they were ridiculous, there was just something about them that was just so over the top and scary that it's like it was totally believable that a man in authority would be named this. Like all of the Sith names being great examples. Darth Tyrannus, Darth Sidious. Like there's a nice sort of sharpness to Vader itself that just makes it work for a guy in authority. And then moving on to the EU, it's like you got Darth Bane, Darth Thanaton, Darth Malak. It's like, yes, these names are very sci-fi-y and Star Wars-y and aren't names from our world, but at the same time, they're still names you can take seriously. But the movie there are too many characters with names I can't take seriously. I cannot take Snoke seriously. I cannot take Phasma seriously. And Kylo Ren itself is okay, but not great.
I like all the names. I think Snoke actually works. Like at first I heard it and I was like, why does it sound so much like smoke? That's so stupid. But then you start saying it more, especially if you say the whole thing, Supreme Leader Snoke. I actually it does sound menacing.
I'm kind of with Antoine on that one. I was hesitant at first too, but the more I
hated
got
all the
used
names
to
at
it,
first.
yeah.
Finn
I got
as
like
well.
the more I
Finn,
got.
was like, Finn?
Yeah.
I would be saying in the trailer, Finn, like the fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of name? And Poe? I was like, Poe?
Yeah.
Why is his name Poe?
I don't like the similarities because obviously there is a difference. Kylo Ren is not the same as the others, but Kylo Ren, Finn, Rey, they're so just the fact there's the 3-letter names and they're the 3 big ones we're going to be saying throughout the trilogy. Poe, Ren, Finn, Rey, they're very similar in the grand scheme of things.
Poe and Finn Rey.
Well, apparently Kylo Ren isn't his real name; it's just his title. And same with Rey. Rey is supposed to be a fake name, and
It's a fake name. You mean that's hope?
yeah, Rey's a fake name.
She may still yet be Jaina.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, same with Kylo, because
Possibly.
Kylo's isn't his real name either. So yeah, you still have that.
It's
I
not
forgot
gonna
to tell you
happen.
about
It's
that,
not
too.
gonna
I
happen,
thought I
but
did say that.
please.
Yeah, I don't
let
think
it
so
be
either.
right.
But yeah, it's not her
Jaina.
real name. Rey's not her real name, and neither is Kylo Ren is his real name. Well, obviously it's his title, but
Yeah.
and then
But yeah.
Finn. I don't know why they haven't revealed his last name, but they haven't revealed his last name.
Because from what we've seen of her so far, she could totally fit the Jaina character.
But yeah, Nothing really to say about this scene with Phasma other than it looks nice. She doesn't do anything. She just walks.
That's all she's been doing like the past 2,
Walking.
3
And again,
Yeah.
I don't like the helmet.
Yeah, the
unlike-
bottom. You see the bottom part? Like
It doesn't make
hanging?
physical sense. It's the same with. That's one of the problems I don't like about this what we've seen so far with the gear. The helmet, the rim of the helmet is supposed to be close to the shoulders like that, so that something can't get underneath and hook it up. If a simple, I know it doesn't really matter because they're not really fighting swords, but if a blaster bolt goes under that or a blade goes under that, that is useless. It needs to be almost to the shoulder pads to give it the proper coverage, but it's not. It's doing this. Same with Ren.
It looks
Same with
better from
Kylo
the
Ren's
front.
from the back. His helmet is doing this, which is just there's like this much gap between it, which is just looks ludicrous. And it's like the pilot Poe, but the X-wing pilot rim of the helmets out here. That's useless. The bottom rim is supposed to go along the jawline, so that when something braces against it, it's not doing this. Like this is how his helmet would move around if he was like shaken. It's like what? Why have they designed it like that? And it just looks
Physics,
ridiculous
bro.
as well. Like what kind of? He's just sitting here like this. It's like why?
Yeah, precisely. It's like I think it's just one instance where they're just thinking, okay, we want to show the advancement of technology by making everything smaller and more compact. But they're kind of losing sight of the reason why things are designed the way they're designed. It's like that's one of the reasons why the Star Wars movies so far have held up so well visually. It's the fact that all of the equipment is designed in such a way that it makes sense. You look at it and it's like, oh, I can see why it's done the way it's done. It's like, but the problem is that a lot of these new helmets it seems to me that they're more so being designed with the intention of getting the feel of Star Wars rather than being realistic. But the core thing to the feel of Star Wars is that the equipment looks practical and realistic. It's like even Darth Vader's armor with that ridiculous helmet. It's like, yeah, the helmet is ridiculous and theatrical, but it still provides effective protection for his head. The rest of his armor, it's like with the leather padding and the way the plates are set up, everything about that armor, even if it is theatrical and over the top, still looks practical. Whereas a lot of this new stuff is more being designed with rule of cool in mind.
It's not like it's a crime that hasn't been committed by Star Wars like so far. Like there have been really stupid designs in the past. Look at Malik with his giant jawless gimp suit itself. It's not exactly the first time they've done something weird in a design aesthetic, but it doesn't excuse like what they've done so far. I mean, it's not like a massive crime and like God, it's terrible, I hate it, but it's just to me it just feels off.
It's something you look at and it's like you can see what it's going for, but it just doesn't quite do it because it's kind of being made by a guy who's trying to capture the essence of something, but he doesn't quite understand the essence.
Yeah. So next up, we got Kylo igniting his lightsaber and coming down execution style.
Yeah,
Quite
killing some
intimidating.
civilians of some kind, living in huts with red
Possibly.
skin.
We don't really see what he's hitting.
It looks like the civilians they're yanking out of the huts have got red skin, which
I think he's just trying to get information out of whoever's at that village, and basically he's like, "All right, I'm gonna kill this person if you guys don't tell me." All right, dead.
Where's Luke?
All
Where is
right.
he?
That's what I thought. I thought he's actually
Possibly.
looking at Luke. Because here's the thing: if you look
Where's
at
the
Luke
trigger?
Luke is on that planet, quite clearly.
if you look at Luke with R2, he's on that planet, so I'm pretty sure those villagers know what's up, at least somewhat. So he's gonna take some heads and take some names.
Heads will roll.
I just noticed.
So next up, we have another shot that actually kind of surprised me. We have Rey, and she looks like she's seen better days.
Yeah, I just realised that's the significance of that. That's on the planet, looking like it's in the scene where.
Everything's dark. Everything's like.
It looks like that's going to be the same scene that Finn
Kylo is
engages
in.
Kylo Ren. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is Kylo Ren engaging him with, or is this him defeated? Like it looks like he's holding his jacket, or
It could be Finn defeated. It could be Han, because people were speculating
Yeah.
that the hair is kind of gray, so it could be Han. And also because Harrison Ford has said he wants to kill off Han, so.
Oh
He has
no,
in the
Kylo
past,
Ren's
yeah.
going to kill Han, which is going to be her father, so she's going to be distraught, and think Finn's going to be like, kind of. Oh no, that's going to be. Oh, they shouldn't do that.
That'd be
And
insane.
then she can't even bring herself to like fight, even though she knows she can, and she probably can defeat Kylo, and she doesn't do anything, and then Finn goes down. No, I don't know.
And then the movie just ends.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Wah, wah.
Boom.
But dude, she's got some range. This young lady. Like we've seen her in this one trailer have like every freaking emotion.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no doubt about
seriously.
it. I don't have any doubts whatsoever about the acting. It's all going to be good in this film. I'm almost certain.
Are you guys familiar with Daisy Ridley at all? Have you ever seen any of her previous stuff?
I haven't, no, but what I've seen from Star Wars, she seems to be great.
I've actually seen a few things of her on TV.
But overall, I mean,
She's got talent.
I haven't looked at any of the casting so far and thought, ugh, it seems to all be brilliant.
Eh. Yeah.
Especially
No,
the dreamy Oscar Isaac.
Oh my. No, but yeah, so that's most definitely from the climax. So we know shit's gonna go down.
Yeah. She's gonna go down on that snow planet.
Oh, they're going to kill Han, aren't they?
It's probably gonna be Starkiller base. Like that's where they're at.
They're
Never
gonna,
know.
They're going to kill Han,
So-
and he's going to fight.
I
and she's
Now
gonna
think
beat her
here,
up.
next we have a shot that's I mentioned in the past. There's some things that caused me some trepidation, and this shot in the snow was one of them. I'll explain in a sec. But any thoughts? Because I think I'll go last.
You mean her
Uh,
crying?
No. I thought we were moving on.
Oh, okay. The next one is the yeah.
Snow.
That's just them. You
I'm-
mean the
I'm
battle?
I'm looking at it
Yes.
more closely, and that's a trench.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I have a problem. Here's my main problem with this thing. If you look at that new poster
Poster.
that dropped
Yeah.
that dropped like a day before, up in
Yeah.
the right corner,
Yeah.
there's a little sphere with a little trench on it, and here's what I'm dreading. Death Star 3.
Yeah.
They cannot be doing that. There's no way.
I think they are. I'm not putting it past them. I think they are.
It
Oh.
would be the
this-
stupidest
Guys,
Death
thing in the
Star
world.
3?
I-
Really?
I know. And
I mean,
the
I don't
thing
think it's
is,
gonna be called
also,
Death Stars 3, but still, it's gonna be.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be
It's-
freaking Death Star 3.
I
They
know,
can't
and it's
do that.
also
It-
following,
oh.
guys. It's also kind of following up on what my biggest worst fears are. And since you guys are talking about biggest worst fears, let me outline my biggest worst fears. Basically, any proper original trilogy follow-up featuring the big three, Han, Luke, and Leia, really needs to be built on the aftermath of Return of the Jedi. But my biggest worry about The Force Awakens going in is that so much of what's in this movie, instead of looking like a follow-up to Return of the Jedi, it looks like a big reset button. Like, let me explain. After Return of the Jedi, after the destruction of the Sith Order and the beginning of the end for the Galactic Empire, after the book Aftermath, part of the new canon that establishes the Rebel Alliance trying to become the new government, the new Republic, the galaxy is still a shithole, lorded over by a military dictatorship supported by a dark side cult led by a masked warrior, and the Jedi are still extinct. This is everything about this just speaks to my deepest, darkest fears inside, is that this is not an original trilogy follow-up. It is a soft franchise reboot. They're just redoing the storyline of the original Star Wars, same story, different names, but that's all they're doing. And that's my biggest fear. It's like, that's what I'm so incredibly worried about going into this movie. That's just going to be J.J. Abrams basically doing a fan film retelling of the original Star Wars, and this is going to become the foundation for the new franchise going forwards. Instead of building on what came before, they're just starting from scratch because because J.J. Abrams, ultimate fanboy, just wants to recapture the glory days of his childhood.
I
So
I don't
I
agree
don't-
with that for several points. I do agree though that there is some pandering going on
Yeah.
within this movie and just the campaign that they're doing.
Most definitely.
Oh, the pandering is getting kind of sickening, and to the point where they're even like negating some of the prequel trilogy stuff and just completely like putting it to the side. Wait, go ahead. I can't. I've talked over you. Go first.
I was just going to say that they are definitely harking back to the New Hope. They're going with the whole
Yes.
let's recapture the New Hope and let's recapture the original trilogy. And as you said just then, quite realistically, they are sweeping the prequels aside. They are not looking at this as a continuation of the overall fictional universe. They are looking at it as a continuation of the original trilogy experience, which is why everything so far has been completely focused on capturing that feel, which is a great feel, and they have modernized it well with its own unique twist. But there is nothing of the realistic telling of the story. I mean, if you look back at the prequels and everything we know since then, the way you look at Star Wars after watching the prequels and experiencing even just lightly the EU from that era completely changes the way the universe is viewed them back when it did with original trilogy. Like, the biggest thing is in this trailer itself is the lack of knowledge about the Jedi. It makes since the prequels have come out and since the EU had bit backed everything up about it, it has made no sense for Han Solo to not know who the Jedi are, or anybody for that matter. There's a little bit of mystique around them, yes, but they knew that they were a historical fact. They've been like the flagship organization of the Republic for 10,000 years. Even if people have never met them, which is most people, they know of them. They've seen them on the news. They were the people leading the Clone Wars. There's no amount of campaigning from the Empire in the brief amount of time they had could have snuffed that out. I mean, entire cultures revere the Jedi as justice keepers. Or keepers of the peace and, justice officers and stuff. And in this, they look like they're going with the original trilogy side. They're like, oh, well, the Empire has, erased all knowledge of them because, look, the original trilogy says so. And it's not looking at it as the realistic fictional universe it is, or it's supposed to be. Which is why I'm not a fan of the new films approach so far and prefer the EU anyway. Because, as I've said before, the most important thing for me is that it feels real. And if no one knows about the Jedi, it's impossible, which means it's not real. And again, that is quite clearly a Death Star trench.
Yeah, no, that's definitely Death Star trench, and it's just like, why you don't need to do that? You don't need to make.
They're basically just trying to come up with the evil bastard child of the Battle of Hoth and the Battle of Yavin. They're basically saying, okay, Hoth itself is now the Death Star.
It's like, oh look, guys, it's pretty obvious we shouldn't do a space station style. We should do it. We should put snow on it, and fake the terrain so it's hidden as like a planet. And thematically, it makes no sense. They've done it twice before. It didn't even make sense when they did it the second time. They shouldn't do it a third time. Story-wise, it doesn't make sense. It's going to be attach it too much to going back to the New Hope style. It'll be the New Hope. It doesn't even make sense from the film, like, mechanical perspective, because they're doing Rogue One, which is about finding the plans for the Death Star. So if they're finding the plans for the Death Star for the New Hope, and then suddenly this one comes around, it seems even more ultimately pointless from going in and watching the film side of things.
Now, I'm hoping we're all wrong and it's not what we're thinking.
Please.
But right now, it looks like it's a fucking super weapon.
Yeah, even if it's not like a complete Death Star and it's just like a Sith alchemy weapon on a planet or whatever from a temple, even then, the principle
it's still
applies,
going to echo
and the
those same
trench
themes. Yeah.
is ridiculous.
The trench, yes.
Yeah. Now, I wouldn't mind the trench I wouldn't mind the trench so much if they said, oh, it's not the trench of some big giant planet-sized space station. It's just some great big underground base that's built into the side of this artificially made trench.
Hopefully.
But
But even then, it's the
But
wrong
again,
start.
that image on the poster, you look at that thing, and then you look at this, and then you look at the Death Star, and you're like,
I mean, arguably it could be like a old prototype for the original Death Star that was discarded because it was impractical or whatever, and the fledgling Sith or the new fledgling Empire has taken it as the best they have because they're limited in resources. But even that, I mean, yes, you can make it function as a story element, but why? Why would you go that direction? And that's the thing I don't like about the trailer, the direction they've gone.
Yeah, it's a lot of the story ideas. It's like I just outlined my worst fears, that they're basically just going for a soft franchise reboot, and that's that. And it's like, this is exactly what I'm so utterly terrified of. It's like they've captured the visual aesthetic, they've captured the general feel of Star Wars, but all of their ideas with the story, it's like, they're basically treating the prequel trilogy the way Star Wars The Old Republic treated KOTOR 2. Yeah. They're just trying to bury it. Exactly, and to me, that's a bad thing, because the thing is, there's still, for all of its flaws, there are still a lot of things in the prequel trilogy that can still be appreciated as good, cool, interesting things. It's like, nostalgia critics, top 11 best things about the prequels. It's like everything on that list that he raised, I agree with 100%. Even the idea of Hayden Christensen being well cast as Anakin Skywalker and just failing to... It's like... he was well cast. It's just the writing was shit and the direction was shit. And hell, it's like when you watch a lot of the behind-the-scenes footage of Lucas directing.
Oh my god.
Directing Hayden Christensen.
It was hard to watch.
Just look at Hayden Christensen. What is the expression on his face? He's just like,
He wants so
I
bad to be
pray-
like, that doesn't help me, sir. But he doesn't want to say that because it's freaking George Lucas.
Yeah. Oh, it's painful.
Hayden Christensen, if you're watching this, we feel for you, man.
Yeah, and so
we
many
feel for
people
you.
jump on the hate bandwagon. It's like, it is clearly not this guy's fault. You see him emote in some of the very rare good scenes in that prequel. You see him emote, and you can easily see him if they did like a live action version of the Clone Wars. You know, him taking on that Anakin Skywalker role and doing it well. But he just didn't have the writing, and he didn't have the powerful charisma to power through the shit writing like Ewan
Right.
McGregor did.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like he just didn't. It's like that's the thing about Hayden Christensen. Hayden Christensen is a good actor, and there's no disputing that. I've seen other movies he's been in where he's delivered good performances. He's a guy who knows what he's doing. He's not some shit actor, and it's just he failed in that instance because he wasn't given the tools he needed, and that is ultimately something that you got to lay at Lucas's feet. It's like everything that went wrong with the prequels was entirely Lucas's fault. It's like everything else. It's like everything else about the prequel trilogy.
I also blame
was-
Rick McCullum as well
Oh yeah, George Lucas. Yes,
for being a
man.
complete
Just-
yes man. Yeah. Ugh.
Oh yeah, but yeah, for me, it's like McCollum is just a non-entity. He's just something. He's
Oh,
just a
God.
little. He's just a little dog that follows around George Lucas, yipping at his heels, but never really doing anything or saying anything. Never even thinking. Just kind of mindless. So it's like, what's the point in blaming him? He's nothing, literally nothing. It's George Lucas. Everything that went down was down to George Lucas. It's like all of those, everything that went wrong was because of his meddling, and yeah.
Pretty much. But anyway, we're getting off topic again, so let's wean it
So
back.
next scene.
Before we go on to the next scene, though, just one thing. Did anyone notice that every single Imperial ship in that sky was a TIE fighter?
No interceptors or
Yeah, they're not
bombers.
doing the variation side of things again, which takes away another aspect of the realism because you don't just send just fighters into a fight, even if they're.
I know. The thing I love, yeah, that was the thing I loved
There's no
about.
A-wings either. There's no.
Nope.
I know
Y-wing.
it's just X-wing TIE fighter, and it's like, why? It's like the reason why the Battle of Endor, the dogfight, was so cool is because you saw so many TIE fighter variants just going at it. It's like you got the TIE interceptors, you got all of the TIE advanced Mark 1s that Vader was flying. You got a whole lot of really cool stuff like that. And then it's like Empire Strikes Back gave us the TIE bombers, and it's like, I think my favorite TIE variant would be the TIE Defender from the EU. Simply because of the quote associated with it. TIE fighter jocks are suicidal. TIE interceptor jocks are bloodthirsty. TIE defender jocks are suicidal and bloodthirsty.
and that's just the TIEs. I mean, you've got the X-wings, the A-wings, the Y-wings, the B-wings. That's just from the original trilogy. The EU expanded it to the E-wings,
Stealth X's.
the Stealth X's, the the E-wings were the big one, but obviously you've got the V-wings from the prequels. You've the big one. What's my favorite? Why have I forgotten my favorite? The K-wings. The K-wings were awesome. They were kind of the blend between the X-wing and the Y-wings. But nope, none of that. Because we're talking about a film. We're talking about a film experience, not a real universe that develops.
Despite that, in the previous universe, we know that these things have developed. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the whole.
And they're
thing
like the same
about
design too. It's like.
Yeah, I mean they have tweaked them. I mean, don't get me wrong, they do look different and they look cool, but
They have
really,
a different
they're
paint
only
job,
using
like chrome.
X-wings.
Yeah, chrome.
like-
Well, they have shifted
like,
around
that's
some of the
the
engine
thing.
parts.
When
and
in
stuff.
doubt, chrome.
Yeah, that's a thing. It's like the whole idea of there being developing technology and multiple variants of different fighter classes is not an idea that's unique to the expanded universe. It is put firmly on display in the films themselves. The Battle of Endor is the ultimate example. Hell, even the original Battle of Yavin had X-wings and Y-wings, and on the Imperial side, you got the regular TIEs, and then you had Darth Vader's Mark I prototype. It's like, you had variation.
All right.
The thing this film is going to do, though, it's not going to have a through line between all 6 films. It's not going to be a continuation of the universe. It's going to be a new story, and it's going to be while also harkening back in a kind of reboot-esque style, probably fitting the theme of the current era because we're all about the reboots at the moment. It's going to be very similar to New Hope, but it's also going to be too disconnected from the other films because it's going to try and be its own thing. yet also rehashing the original experience. It's not going to be taking anything from the prequels, or of course the EU, because this is the film that decided, the creative team decided it would wipe away all of the history. It's going to be disconnected. So this is going to be a new start to Star Wars, and it shouldn't be a new start. It should be a continuation.
As far as I'm concerned, the sequel trilogy should have been an adaptation of the Legacy of the Force series. Simple as that. Everything about the sequel.
I disagree with that.
at all.
I disagree with that.
Everything about Legacy of the Force to me, it's like it just makes sense as the definitive follow-up to the original movies, because it's picking up the plot threads from both the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy very effectively. And, well, Kaidus may be a raging psychopath, but, you know, still better written than Anakin Skywalker.
I think they did the right choice of making a new story, but I think some of the disregard they have for utter disregard they have of other stories it was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. But I get
like
where
that's what it feels like.
Sorry, what are you saying?
No, go ahead.
I get where they're coming from with the whole wanting a new clean slate to work with, and some breathing room and stuff. But they have swept aside all the potential they could have licked up, and having it like, we don't want to we don't want to tell the stories that have been told in the books because people won't like them as much. Like, even if they gave us a film series that was a worse telling of the whole Jaina, Anakin, Jason sort of era stories, we wouldn't mind. We'd be like, oh, well, the books were better, but fine, whatever. And then the films could jump off and restart Star Wars from that, because you'd, even if it was bad, you'd satisfy the old guard fans because we appreciate the not appreciation, but appreciate the respect they've got for the original material, even if they don't tell it as well. And the new people don't know any of the EU stuff, so it's not going to be old for them. It's going to be new. So they could have achieved the same result. Even if
actually, I'm looking. They do have other variants of TIE fighters. We just don't see them in the trailer. There's another one that has like cannons on the side, and it's like got longer wings. But they're not on the trailer. But
I'm just imagining like a TIE fighter with like legit like flapping wings. It's like there's just one of them too. It's just in the back of the squadron. I
just feel like they haven't. I just feel like they haven't done enough. I mean, obviously we haven't seen the film. We have to reserve judgment for that. But from what we've seen so far, they haven't done enough.
Well, again, the trailer is meant to be vague.
Yeah, and that could be the case too. Giving it the benefit of a doubt, but I still think it has a huge case of pandering.
No Death Star 3!
Yes,
please!
No, please.
I don't know who thought that was a good idea.
No!
But that's the thing. Someone thought that was a good idea, put it forward, and no one disagreed. That is terrifying. If they
because
can get
that's the thing.
Stupid
like,
through, what else are they going to do?
It's someone who's just trying their best to deny everything prequel trilogy related. I think and not just denying it, but just trying so hard to harken back to the original trilogy. To be like, look, guys, we're trying to do what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, we wanted the feeling of the original trilogy, not the exact
experience,
vehicles and the exact super weapons from the original trilogy. It's a little bit different, it's a little deeper than that.
Yeah. One of my favorite aspects of the expanded universe was how they established that the Empire's obsession with big planet-killing superweapons was entirely due to Palpatine.
Yeah, it made
no one else Palpatine and Grand Moff Tarkin, but no one else wanted these things. Darth Vader himself was on record repeatedly stating that he saw the Death Stars as a stupid waste of time, effort, and resources. And it's like, I think one of my favorite little aspects of the EU is how in the Dark Empire trilogy, Palpatine ramps the super weapon production up to 11, gives us the World Devastators and the Galaxy Gun and his Super Star Destroyer Eclipse with its, internally mounted super laser. It's like, Palpatine has a serious hard-on for planet-killing super weapons because he's such a narcissist. And that was one of my favorite elements. The fact that the Death Star represented a huge blunder on so many levels, and this was entirely, and the only reason why they existed was just to feed Palpatine's ego, which is,
And even despite the whole thematic thing about the Death Star 3 being terrible and the whole rehashing being terrible because you don't want to see it done again, it also makes no sense from that regard, Connor, because then that means Snoke has authorized it. And he's coming from an empire that should be learning from its mistakes that it already knew about in the first place, but Palpatine overrode their consensus. Why are they making a super weapon? What's he going to do?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm hoping that it's another misnomer in the same JJ way where you think it's one thing, but it's totally another thing. That's what I'm hoping for at this point.
As well.
But I'm just from the look of it, because that's all we're getting. We're just getting the imagery of it. It's looking pretty reminiscent to stuff that we already know. But I mean, I do trust JJ enough that that's the reason why I'm not so hot and bothered by it. I'm bothered by the look of it and how people are equating it to the Death Star. But I do trust in JJ enough that hopefully it's just a misdirection of some sort.
I really hope so.
It's like it transforms into like a big like metal like dragon or something. Like
AT-AT in space.
Unfortunately, my problem is that I don't have much trust at all for JJ. It's like I still have a foul taste in my mouth from Star Trek Into Darkness. So it's
I love Star Trek Into Darkness.
I don't. He fucked up so hard on so many levels. Watch Confused Matthew's review. He basically covers everything I think about that movie.
I enjoy it, but it really missed the ball on the formulaic thematic level.
I agree.
Yeah, it's because I don't like Star Trek that much, and I liked what he did to Star Trek because it made it Star Wars, and I didn't have Star Wars in my life, so that's why I like both his. That's why I love both his Star Trek movies.
That is like that is such a shallow.
Yeah, for me, I am a Star Wars fan first and foremost, but I do like and enjoy Star Trek for what it is. And the thing is, if you
like Star Trek, you would hate that movie. I would see that. For sure.
Yeah, the thing is, the Star Trek movies he did essentially amounted to a betrayal of the franchise, because Star Trek is supposed to be super sophisticated social commentary, not brainless sci-fi action. And that's what his Star Trek movies were. They were brainless sci-fi action. It's like I thought Star Trek 2009 started strong, like that opening scene where George Kirk sacrifices his life and goes kamikaze on the Narada. I loved that. Now, I really wish that they had, built on that emotional investment that they got us into and built a super sophisticated, intelligent story, but they didn't. It's like I was watching SF Debris' review of the movie, and he directly compared it to a bad episode of Doctor Who. And it was like, yeah, that's exactly right.
I think JJ does emotions and action very well, and that's why I think he's going to lend himself better to Star Wars versus Star Trek. And that's why I also think, I don't know how much his fanboy is going to get in the way of the actual production of Star Wars.
Hopefully
because
he can be professional enough to...
Right, and he's actually made a very specific point about that, is that he is very aware that just being a fan of the franchise isn't going to make a good movie. He understands that, telling a very good story is the way to do that, and he's done that with other movies that he's done, like Super 8 and things like that. He can get into emotional stuff very well. You might not like Cal, I know you really are into the world building, things like that. He's probably not going to be doing that very well, but he is going to get the emotional through line right, I think, for the movie, or at least I trust him from his previous outings in terms of the emotional output.
Let it never be said that JJ doesn't have his strengths, because he does.
Definitely. Yeah, no, he's not a bad director at all. I don't mean to imply that. But my problem is that he's going, as with most of the Star Wars creators at the moment, they're going to nail the character portrayal and the emotional response and the feel and the base level stuff. But the thing is, that should all be a given. That's something that should always be good. The problem is they're not going to go delve deep and delve into the realism side, like not just world building in terms of enjoyment of the setting, but the Empire can't just be some force that needs to defeat the rebellion or the New Republic or whatever their state they're in at the moment. They have to be a organization that is trying to win the eyes of the people, or they're ultimately pointless. The galaxy has to feel like it's a galaxy, not just a few planets scattered around that they move from scene to scene to fit the story in the film. It has to be a plot that is inside a universe, not a universe that's inside the plot.
And for all the hate that the prequel trilogies a trilogy gets, is that George Lucas does that. He attempts that. He makes a world, and he makes sense of why this whole construct of the war and these federations and the government and bureaucracy and things like that. Granted, I mean, like he probably was stood on that a little bit too long to the point where it's kind of boring and that kind of thing. But still, he at least attempted to establish the world and why this world, this huge galaxy, is interacting the way that they are, and that's something that they could take, they can totally take. Like George Lucas isn't completely trash or anything like that, he has his moments.
I mean, he did it really horrifically simply and not particularly well, but the thing is, the
Right.
fact that he put it there gave us the prequel era EU. That's the reason there were so many stories that jumped off from that point. That's why the Clone Wars was huge. It wasn't just because it was a war, because they could have done any war and it would have had the same effect. It was the different stories and characters and events that you could explore within that setting. What's this one going to give us? Is it going to give us just the film, or is it going to give us the new era?
Right, and that's what we're hoping, is that if this war has some sort of meaning and has some sort of correlation to the other wars, which something that actually Aftermath, another Journey to the Force Awakens book, alludes to. It alludes to it's one war just starting, stop and starting. So I hope that they keep that up, and that this is alluded to in the movie. I mean, again, we can't really discern it yet because it's not really a story trailer. It's mostly just like an extended teaser trailer. But hopefully that is applied, and it's not just like you say. It's just another war movie because war, because that's what it is, right? Star Wars.
Yeah. But why are you complaining? It's been done before. It's like you liked it back then. It's like, yeah, but that's the point. It was back then.
And that's the thing. I think they're trying. That's what I'm talking about with the pandering thing, is that I think they're trying too hard to give people what they say they like, which is the imagery of what they like, which is harder to get that right for what all the other stuff that comes with that. I think they're just playing into the face of what people say that they want. You know what I mean? So
the problem is that this movie is mainly being marketed towards two groups. Are you guys hearing me? Because I'm not seeing my camera.
Yeah, it's frozen.
I hear you.
Your camera was frozen there for a second, even though we heard you.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Okay, good. Okay, but yeah, they're appealing to two major groups here. A would be the general moviegoers who have no major familiarity with Star Wars. That's a given for
as you do with the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to appeal to the general moviegoers. This can't be just for the fans. But out of the fans, the main group that they're trying to appeal to are the old guard, like the extremely old guard fans who are purely fans of the original trilogy and who outright hate the prequels and who have no connection or interest with the EU, which is ultimately what really motivated the retconning of the EU. It's the fact that they just felt that our target demographic doesn't care about the EU, so why should we bother with it? Which, foolish, short-sighted decision that I think is really going to hamstring them in the long term. And, the most infuriating thing for me is, I've had the misfortune of encountering a lot of people who are very much in that sort of demographic of their hardcore original trilogy lovers who hate the prequels and don't care about the EU. It's like, yeah, it's like they go out of their way to defend the nixing of the EU because, they got no attachment to it. They don't understand why we have such love and respect for the EU. Because the big thing is the fact that the four of us, we did live and see the rise of the prequel trilogy. But we were not around when the original movies came out. For us, the Star Wars material that we got into, that made us love the franchise, wasn't necessarily what we found in the movie theater. It was what we found in the bookstore. It was what we found on the back shelf at EA Games. It was what we found in the comic book stores. It wasn't the movies. Well, it wasn't just the movies, because it was very much the EU that made us fans. And the thing is, we are the next generation of fans. And not to slam the OT fans out there, but it's us that they should be trying to appeal to, not the old guys. But the problem is that this isn't happening. Why? Because which part of the demographic is JJ himself part of? Which part of the demographic are all the people making this movie part of?
And they clearly don't care about researching the rest of the universe. They're not treating it like a fictional universe. Which is, and again, that's what the EU did well. It's what the Thrawn trilogy did well. The real continuation of the Return of the Jedi ending. it went, okay, we've got this film, people want more, let's give them more, and they developed the universe. 20 years later, it gets discarded because people can't be asked to catch up with it. Because, like you said, they're not people interested in that stuff. And the annoying thing is yes, no matter what they do, as long as they don't screw up particularly, people would have loved this film. The normal people, as in the people who just like the films and see Star Wars as a fun, awesome film. They don't care about it beyond that. They should have been aiming for us, because then they would have hit everyone else along the way. But no, they're just going for the first target because it's the biggest, easiest, and most obvious, and probably the one that's going to make them the most money. Because let's face it, we're all going to go and watch it and buy the DVDs and love it. And even if we hate it, that we'll do that.
Yeah. It's like, that's the thing. The sad thing, too, is the fact you're absolutely right. It's like, I have so much hate for TCW. But you want to know what I have in my CD case? Let me go grab my great big monstrous CD case filled with the glory that is Star Wars.
Oh my.
Is that TCW?
Hold on, he hasn't even opened it yet.
TCW Season 1, TCW Season 2, TCW Season 3, TCW Season 4, TCW 5, TCW 6, TCW Movie.
And you hate it.
Oh my god, you have the movie? Oh my god.
Nice.
But I mean, I love TCW by and large. It makes huge mistakes, and it's not by no means perfect. But overall, I love it because
I'm with this guy on that one.
Because yes, it's not Legends, but it is also not new EU. It was around and took care. Overall, I mean, it made stupid mistakes and didn't do it perfectly.
It attempted to bring it.
It attempted.
It was something that we could look at and feed into the old EU and make work despite the revisions and the plot holes and everything like that. It tried. Even if it failed, it tried, and we respect it for that. And it's not something that has been sucked out of the Legends. It's what's technically canon now, but it is still a part of the old EU, and I hate it when people don't count it as such. But note, it still functions in the old EU. Aftermath from the new EU still functions in the old EU. Everything they've put released from now that still functions in the old EU, I will count towards the old EU, regardless of the stupid Legends idea. But the thing is, the films are not going to be workable in that regard. And that means everything that's based on the films, when they try and release some new stuff, it's going to fall flat. And then they'll start going back and go, oh, let's do a different era, and let's do what the Old Republic was like. And oh, wait, this is what they did like 20 years ago. But we weren't aware of it at the time.
Oh man, I just imagine what it's gonna be like when we're about to hit the dirt, guys. We're just gonna be like, hey, it turns out they rebooted the EU for a third time. What about that?
They do it in comics. And
They do it with Marvel all the time.
It
so.
never works.
I know.
Marvel fans are making fun of Star Wars fans right now because they're like, guys, this is just the life. That's just how it is. Get over it.
Yeah.
Like they're seriously,
It's like twice
they're
a
all
year.
like, get over it. You guys have spent 20 years with the same storyline. Good job. Good on you.
I know, it's just...
Calm down, you Star Wars fans. You spoiled Star Wars fans.
But they hate it too,
I
and everyone
know.
should, because it's just a really bad practice, and it never, ever works. I mean, stop thinking about it from like a current perspective. Think about it from 20 years' time. In 20 years' time, what is this era of Star Wars going to represent? Is it going to be, oh look, we've now got 30 years of Star Wars, or is it going to be, we have 20 years of one Star Wars and then 10 years of this shitty version, or 20 years of shitty version, sorry. It's... I mean, even if people love it,
even if an amazing movie.
of course.
I know.
Let's all reconvene in 30 years from this date.
I mean, even if people...
when you said that, you said, remember that time you said you hated the 7th movie and you was your favorite?
I mean, even if as a film I love this
So your voice gets higher
far
when
and
you get older.
beyond any of the others, even if this one is by far my favourite, it's still not going to fit the older you, and therefore ultimately fall flat as just a good movie. It's not going to be a part of the universe because it's deliberately separating it from it for no good reason.
Yeah.
If they had a good
It's-
reason, I'd be a little bit
I
more
know.
understanding.
It's the super sad thing is that after Revenge of the Sith came out, like between Revenge of the Sith and the start of TCW, is really when my kind of Star Wars fandom was really starting to hit its full swing, because that's the time when I was really starting to get into the expanded universe. And this didn't really start happening, at least not until the third season of TCW. But starting with the third season of TCW, moving on till now, I've been really feeling like it's the end of an era, because while TCW kind of started out in a very soft, small way, what the movies are doing now, where they're cherry picking those elements from the EU that they like while turfing a lot of the good stuff. Like, I much prefer the Mandalorian history that Karen Travis came up with in her Republic Commando novels. I don't really care for what they did with Death Watch in TCW. And but it just feels like that's been more and more increasingly been coming to define the new material. It's just cherry picking some certain stuff from the old, but then mainly running off and doing its own thing, and for the most part kind of failing, with the retconning of the EU kind of feeling like, this is it's like this is
just so dejected.
We're just
what we're
rehashing at
feeling-
this point. It's just
what we're experiencing right now has been a long time coming, and that's just so sad. And it's like even now I'm just kind of looking back, and it's like, why didn't I see the signs? Why didn't I realize what was happening? And it's like, because I was always hoping that they would reverse their trajectory at the last minute. I was always hoping that some proper, good, competent EU guy would step up and correct things. But no, it was just Lucas throwing his weight around more and more and more with yes men like Filoni yipping at his heel, and then he sold out to Disney, and Disney just
no. Disney did
finished the
nothing.
job.
Disney did nothing. Kathleen Kennedy
Disney
has done this
didn't
all.
do
Yeah, it's a big misconception
I
that
hate
Disney
that.
is.
Disney has given
We
them the money
explained this
to
in
do.
the last episode.
Disney has given them the money
no,
to do what
Dark
they want,
Disciple.
and
2
Kathleen.
But it's
Kennedy
easy.
has
It's
done
easy
what-
because Disney's a big corporation, and
Yeah,
that's
and
what
that's
everybody would like to. Yeah.
that's the big change that people thought. Like, oh look, it's now Disney, and everyone made the jokes about, oh, Mickey Mouse is gonna be in Star Wars, and which is obviously a lot of crap. Just look at Marvel.
Yeah.
But Kathleen Kennedy is the one that screwed everything up, or at least her and the story group, the decisions they've made.
Yeah, so
they were the
Pablo
ones-
Hidalgo is one of them too, and Li Shin-chi, what's his name? Leland Shi.
Leland Shi, the original
Yeah.
keeper of the holocron,
Ugh,
who's done such
I
a good
used
job
to
up to
have-
this point.
I used to have such respect for Leland Shi, but now
I would
it's
really like to have a conversation with them. Like, I really wonder did anyone defend? Like, what happened? Like when they made that whole video about, like when they were christening
Announcing.
like legends. Yeah, like
And that was so
Everybody
poorly
just-
done as well. They never really defined it. They let it. They did
They
it so
didn't.
nobody
They didn't.
panic.
They were
Nobody get annoyed. We're just gonna do this, and it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. And they didn't do like this big fight. Nope, we're sweeping everything away because they knew people would flip the shit. So they did it quote unquote subtly, so that people couldn't quite complain enough because they didn't really explain it. And now they've just wiped it all out. Because they should have basically said, none of that is necessarily canon, and we will let you know what is later when we've sorted out this film business. But no,
But I
they're not
actually
going
like
to.
this new era, though. I think that's actually been revitalized. I actually like what they've done so far, because I feel like they've been keeping things in line and having things speak to each other in terms of all these stories a lot better,
True.
Yeah,
and a lot more frequently. So,
But we're only at the start.
but they could have
The original
done
stories
that.
did that as well.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but they could have done that. Not as much. The original stories didn't do that as much. You had to really have like respect between those authors for that to happen. But now it's like a story group that's actually like making people
Definite.
like put
Yeah, I
different
just mean
things
like
in
the
it.
early years, like the really
Oh,
early
yeah,
stories,
with
they-
the early
when
years,
it
I
wasn't
agree
too
with-
complicated.
Right, I agree
yeah.
with that. But yeah, I like that portion. But they could have continued that and kept a lot of the old stuff. Like I don't understand what happened with Dark Disciple, like at all, like things like that. But
And we're still reeling from that, aren't we?
The thing is,
I don't
Aftermath
understand.
pulled it off. Aftermath can be slotted, and we do, right alongside our EU stuff, because it fits. And you see in all the little details, this author gets the stuff from the old EU and the new, and they make it work. Why can't they do that with the films?
continuing to the next shot, we have
Yeah,
Leia,
seriously, guys.
Anyway, sorry, yeah.
and
We-
Han hugging each other. Oh my goodness, look how intimate they are.
We keep going
Yeah.
on about this, but it is an important point, and yeah.
Yeah, Leia scene. We see Leia for the first time
Yeah.
ever.
She's
looks
really
good.
weirdly blurred at the edges.
I was expecting. I mean, this is gonna sound really mean, but I was expecting much worse. So when I saw her, I
She's
was
been
like,
looking pretty worse, you know. But she's
Yeah.
better now because she's been rehabilitated from her. She's been through some shit.
"Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah, don't do drugs. Don't do drugs.
Drugs are bad."
But yeah, I wonder if they're still together or if
Yeah, like have they
I-
been together for like an extensive period, or is this like a thing where they're like meeting again, they're like rekindling the spark, and it's like,
I've been thinking about this, and I really hope they haven't done it like that. I really hope that they did it the same way as the EU, because
Do they stay together?
them just being like, oh well, they were like that in the original trilogy, but people break up, it happens. I hate that.
I would rather them be an old couple that bickers.
Yeah.
Like, that would be awesome.
That would be perfect for them, because that's essentially
I
what they
would
were from the
love-
get-go. They were like an old married couple, and it was great, and it fits the characters.
And now they could literally be an old married
Yeah.
couple.
And it'd be even funnier because yeah, I think it'd be great.
And
like-
Han can be going off and like scampering around the galaxy with the Falcon. It's like, we're home. So that kind of thing. It's like that's why it's about, because he's not been doing it for years. He's been retired. It would just fit.
Yeah.
And Leia
Okay,
could still
so
be part of
moving
the political scene.
moving on to
Dan's
one
about to
of the
get
last.
fucked up.
Yeah, one of the last shots, we have Finn igniting a lightsaber. Looks very good in a snowy environment with the trees. And then this guy comes up and shit gets real.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
These are some of the best looking lightsabers ever.
You gotta love how he goes from like firm resolve to in the fight.
Well, I think it's a separate. Like, I think this is probably from the beginning.
Oh, yeah,
the first shot, and then
yeah.
this is like midway through the fight.
No, of course they're definitely not immediately following up from each other in the actual film,
Yeah.
but the way they cut to it is
I
hilarious.
know the way it cuts is kind of weird. It's like, oh hey, I'm
Yeah.
super brave. No, I'm not.
It's like,
Yeah, it's like, oh
I'm
my.
fine, and then he takes a
well-
step. Yeah, I'm fine like this, and then he goes, buzz, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Well,
my
it's like one.
I'm
it's like one
coming
thing
for ya, Finn.
One thing I will say for the crossguard saber is, for all of its practical deficiencies, that weapon is fucking intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
If a guy approaches you brandishing that thing and you don't know what you're doing, you are gonna shit your fucking pants.
And you
I mean-
hear it too, like the electric sound that it's got
Yeah,
going on. It's like, oh fuck.
I mean,
Yeah,
And,
it's like
just for the record, like another thing about that scene is Kylo's mask is clearly off.
yes, or at least the
It's-
hood's down. We don't know if the mask.
I'm wondering.
Oh, wait,
if
no, yeah, the
Finn-
mask.
yeah,
Yeah,
the mask
it's
is
got a
off,
helmet.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
off.
no, it is
Yeah, of course,
gone.
Sorry,
Like, it
yeah,
is
I forgot
gone.
it's on the back panel. Yeah.
That's clearly Adam Driver.
Yeah, people have been going on
Yeah,
about like,
yeah,
why
it's not
Kylo
fucking
Ren's
Luke.
Luke. It's like, oh, not only would that be the
that's
most single worst
clearly
decision
Adam
they could ever
Driver.
do, that is Adam Driver.
Guys, we've seen a teaser image of what Luke looks like in the damn movie.
Yeah, but that could
And
always
of
be a
what
red herring.
Kylo
so I
looks
get
like
why
without
they-
his helmet.
It's just
Yes,
yeah.
that's clearly Adam Driver, and he's, where's the button?
But I wonder if Finn got shot in on him. I wonder if he maybe this is like he hit his mask and then like Kylo got pissed off and he's like, oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe it got like knocked off.
It's like,
during a
wait,
fire.
it's like, wait, that worked? It's like, oh,
I
sorry.
know, it's like, oh my god,
Um,
the Force actually works. Huh?
yeah. Oh, that's another thing I really hope they're not going to do. I really hope they're not going to gloss over the whole technical element of the Force side of things. They're going to go by, oh, well, look at the original trilogy. They never explained it, so we don't have to. Because if they go with the Force is calling to you, let it in, and you will be this good, I'm going to...
Oh yeah,
Flip
no,
my
you can't be
shit.
that good.
I'm sorry, you need to train, you need to study, you need to practice.
And that makes
Like-
perfect sense. If they just go, well, the Force will guide you. It's like, no, that's ludicrous.
You need
I'm
Yoda
sorry,
to
to you-
smack you across the ears a few times before you actually know how to
Which
use it.
again is
Yeah.
something we saw in the movies. We saw Luke train.
But we never saw him train a
Exactly.
lightsaber. If you just go by the original trilogy and don't look at anything from the EU, his skills are completely unexplained.
Right.
Yeah,
just
but
He was self-trained. He had his whole journal with Kenobi.
Yeah, that's in the EU then.
well,
Oh yeah, good
That's
point.
all the
Good
stuff that
point.
makes. That's the stuff
All
that
right,
delves in
well,
and makes it make
fair
sense.
point. Fair point.
there was the lightsaber training from from A New Hope on board the Falcon
Yeah,
with
but
the
that-
remote, but that was literally the only
it's
thing
one
we
lesson.
got. Like, I'm sorry, what we really needed to get the point across was maybe a sparring match between Luke and Yoda. Yoda's just
Oh,
standing.
They couldn't do it at that time. Well,
Well,
that's
yeah.
actually one of the comic books, but again, yeah, EU.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
actually
but-
fight.
But yeah, just have Yoda standing on a big ass rock, so he's actually up to Luke's height, and then just draws his lightsaber and says,
Wait, I have
"Okay,
the book
attack
here."
me."
Although it would have to come after the Force training, because otherwise Luke wouldn't be surprised when
Yeah,
Yoda's
yeah,
like
yeah.
lifting up the ship, because he's like, that's impossible. But if he's seen Yoda be like a flipping super hurricane ninja,
Well,
then
Actually, I'm thinking the way it would go is it would just be Yoda demonstrating defensive technique, not even fighting back at all, so just kind of standing there, wrist
Yep, that's
flicking
what
it.
he was doing. Oh my god, this is okay. Keep talking because it's here.
no, I agree. That's probably the most logical
Yeah,
way. But
yeah.
I'm just saying that if it was actually going to train him to a point where he's ready for combat, not actually just knowing the characters, then he would have had to have fought him. Because and even then, Yoda's the worst person to teach you, because Yoda doesn't represent the normal approach of any other person, because from his stature.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
Yoda
He's not
is-
human.
see.
He
Yeah,
just can't
Yoda isn't-
make most of the moves in lightsaber combat.
Yeah. Yeah, Yoda is an excellent trainer for the little kids.
Mm.
It's like that's actually one of the reasons why he was always training the little kids.
And that's
He was
not
just
an
as
insult
tall
for
as-
anyone who's going to rage. That's not.
Oh yeah,
That's not like saying
No.
Yoda's crap. It's just a fact.
it's just because of his physicality.
Mm.
He can't demonstrate sophisticated lightsaber techniques fencing against someone who's 6 foot tall because the only way he can attack you is by hurling himself at you like a cannonball.
Which is why.
Whereas
Yeah,
when
yeah,
he's-
okay, here, yeah, it's Luke Skywalker and the Treasure of the Dragon Snakes. Yeah, like Luke, Yoda like jumps around and like hits him with his gimmer stick. Like he doesn't even fight the lightsaber. He just keeps smacking. him with
I've read the
stick.
comic. I know what he's talking about.
Yeah, and then he like smacks him across the knee at one point, smacks him on the back. He just like works Luke. That's so great. I love that kind of training where you just like fucking just work your apprentice.
But that's the thing about
And
the
then-
EU. It took things from the films. Okay, right, let's delve deeper, and then it explained everything. But with all
Yeah.
that gone, that has to be re-explained. Otherwise, it's just not there. Or you have to look at the
And
old
the-
EU and say it's already there. But you can't have it as both. You can't have it as non-canon and cherry pick.
It's
until you
all
bring
so
something new.
confusing.
It's just stupid.
Yeah, I know.
It's just,
I love
they
how
did it
Yoda's
so that
working
people wouldn't be
Luke. It's awesome.
confused, and they've just made it more confusing.
Dazed and confused.
I know.
I hate it. Ludicrous. And Yoda training,
anyways.
but Luke being good is awesome as well, but it doesn't make sense unless you have that explanation.
Right,
gonna be
which
the same
you're
in any
right.
films.
Within the movie, it seems like he only got trained for 2 days, but then
Yeah.
the books and everything else flesh it out. Like, no, he actually was trained for a pretty long time, and Yoda like kicked his butt. You know,
And,
Yeah.
and,
to be a
even
good
in
Jedi.
the films, if you take it as though it's supposed to represent like a few weeks or a few months or whatever with the other Force journey, we've never seen the lightsaber training. And logically, from that point,
Right.
before we know what Yoda's really like, it makes no sense for him to have lightsaber training because how the hell is Yoda supposed to teach him how to use a lightsaber?
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, we didn't even know he had one, despite the fact that it makes perfect sense because people keep saying it doesn't. Yeah, so
But it
it's
makes
just,
sense that he had a lightsaber. I always thought he should never actually like get himself to use one. It's like Sidious. I never thought he should use a lightsaber either. But that's a whole different conversation.
yeah, people say he
Yeah.
should be like a sorcerer, but then forget
Right.
that he was described as a great warrior and also is a grandmaster of an order of knights. You know, it seems like a weird thing for people to assume he doesn't have skill.
I got.
I agree
well,
that he shouldn't
just-
need
just-
to use it, but I agree that he should be able
Just
to.
to put out my idea is that I got no problems with Yoda wielding a lightsaber. I got no problems with Yoda wielding a lightsaber in actual combat. I just think the way his fighting style was done was such utter bullshit. It should have been the exact opposite. He should have been just, it should have been like Dooku versus Savage Opress. He should have been super
Yeah.
efficient, super defensive, like basically just deflecting attacks. It's like the way the Dooku Yoda fight should have gone is Yoda should have just rushed at Dooku should have just rushed at Yoda, wailed on him with everything he got, and got absolutely nowhere because Yoda just deflects everything he had with zero effort and then sweeps him off his feet with telekinesis.
Again, in the
That's
EU,
usually
like
what
the
Yoda
demonstration.
does.
Yeah, like again in the EU, like the demonstration he gives with the
Yeah,
Jedi
I said I
Masters.
know.
He
You.
just-
I keep figuring that up.
He just
We are
he just,
terrible
he
at
just
distinct
blade
things.
coming down,
And I do that quite
sidesteps,
often. Actually,
flex.
just to bring back this point about the EU, like I do that quite often when explaining anything within Star Wars. When someone's like says this and that, and I'm like, but this thing, they're like, but that doesn't count. It was in a book. I'm like, what? It's still a really awesome book. You can't just discount it because it's from a
But,
book.
but
and
you
then you're
can,
like,
Antoine, because that's what they've
I
done,
know,
and that makes perfect
I
sense,
know.
and it's good, and you have to go along with it.
It's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and the thing is, the other thing that they've done is that
Oh, man, Lucas
by
went to
retconning
Nepal,
the expanded
it's-
universe, by retconning the expanded universe, they also kind of created a conflict between the old guard fans who support this and the new guard fans who are opposed to it. And in my opinion, this is a conflict that shouldn't exist. It should never have happened. And because of that, it makes me think that part of the reason they retconned the EU might have been to deliberately create this conflict in order to drum up publicity. Because, they just
I don't
want to
think so.
create
They
a
haven't generated that much publicity.
No.
Only-
Because,
I know,
again,
but still-
because the big
External.
fans of the films don't even know the EU exists, really. It's just
Right.
something
I
that's
know.
like for nerds. So they don't appreciate that it's actually a continuation of the story. Really.
Just to put this
Yeah.
out there, for anyone who doesn't realize it, who watches our videos and all that kind of stuff, we're the nerds of this fandom, if that makes sense. Like, if I talk to another fan and I talk to them about forms or anything like that, they'll start rolling their eyes at me. Like, we got to really put that into perspective here, that we
Yeah.
are the nerds of this.
Of what nerds are to
And-
normal people.
Right.
if we were
we're a
Lord of the
subset of the subset.
Yeah, if we were Lord of the Rings fans, this entire podcast would be recorded in fluent Elvish. That's how hardcore we are.
Basically. But
It's like,
and the people.
I would,
Oh, sorry.
I would love to learn how to speak ancient Sith and just record a whole podcast in ancient
Oh
Sith with
my
subtitles.
Lord.
It would be great, but
There's no alphabet for that.
But
well, we do have an alphabet, but they didn't really flesh out the whole language. They only gave us a few snippets.
I know a little bit of Sri Rook.
But the thing is, people are like, well, you're impossible to
Dude,
please, so they
silly.
shouldn't have even tried. The thing is, yes, they should. Reach for the moon, or reach for the stars, and then land on the moon. You know, if they fall flat, they're still pleasing everyone they were going to please anyway. They're just not quite reaching us, and we appreciate the effort. No problems.
Yeah. It's like, TCW. It's like they fell flat in trying to please us, but they still put in the effort, and we still appreciate the effort even if they failed. It's like I may have a very negative attitude towards the show, but I'm not going to slam them for not putting in the effort. I'm going to slam them for their lack of skill.
Yeah. And they did succeed in many regards. Like, even you admit there are some things that they pull off well. There are a lot more that they didn't, or rather, you're more interested in the stuff that they didn't because it's more personally relating to you. Because the stuff you enjoy is the stuff they messed up. But the stuff that they've done a lot of stuff good. Oh, I hate the way I speak sometimes. They did a lot of stuff well. And the new films are going to look like they're going to do the same thing basically, but without any of the effort. But again, we're getting into the EU side of things. But moving back,
there's nothing else to talk about. That finishes up the trailer.
But the lightsaber side of things, Kylo Ren and Kylo Ren should basically, if he's had training, completely stomp Finn, who hasn't.
He might. It looks like he probably will.
Probably will. But I really hope that the whole thing isn't. You have to let the Force in. Let it guide you. Let once you trust the Force, you will be more powerful. I really hope they don't go that way.
The reason why I really dislike that idea is also because it really ends up cheapening the mastery attained by the great masters.
Yeah.
It's like that's one reason why I refuse to take Luke's final duel with Vader in Return of the Jedi at face value, because if Luke, a kid who's only been training for 4 years, is able to curb stomp the Sith Lord who killed Kenobi, the experienced master with over 40 years of experience, it's like it cheapens Kenobi's mastery. It basically says that Kenobi's mastery is worth nothing because Luke's just inherently more powerful than he is, and therefore is going to attain a much greater level of skill and power than Kenobi can even dream of. No, the only thing that potential determines is how fast you're going to learn. It doesn't determine your ability to learn. Like it's like if you can find some way to artificially lengthen your life and take more time to build your power and skills, you can totally become just as powerful, if not more powerful, than fucking Palpatine.
Luke was at the point where he could contend with folks like that, but he wasn't to the point where he could defeat. But it does make in context they do set up in the movie why it makes sense for him to win, because it was more of a battle of emotion. It was a battle of will. It was a battle of wills, not technique. It's like when you actually look at the way Vader fights in Return of the Jedi compared to Empire Strikes Back. In Empire Strikes Back, he showed a lot of sophisticated technique. In Return of the Jedi, he was just kind of sweeping at Luke almost half-heartedly.
He didn't want to be in the fight, and he wanted Luke to give it.
He really was conflicted.
Which is the only reason he won. Luke, because Luke at that point was basically Obi-Wan Kenobi Attack of the Clones level. And I'm sorry, no chance in hell of ever beating Vader without that kind of emotional conflict. If they had never met each other and had no personal connection, Luke would have been
if they were dropped in cold with hey, I'm your son, I'm your father, that kind of thing,
Luke would have been annihilated, and that makes sense. And anyone who denies that, but it's not how the film show it, you can go screw yourself because you don't understand the law. Because you don't focus on the EU, because that is your prerogative.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. People can be fans of just the films. I'm not saying that they're any quote unquote less of a fan, but they can't then go and say, "Well, you're just a nerd. Your argument is illogical." No, because we are the people who have taken the time and effort, because we are interested in it, to delve deeper. As with all the creators of the EU that have just been cast aside.
Like, come on!
Except for remember Evan, what Lucino said?
Yeah.
What?
At the panel, he was like, someone asked, like, "Oh, is Plagueis, Darth Plagueis still canon?" He's like, "Yes, yes,
yep." Just bluntly.
Yeah. It's like that was probably one of his conditions. It's like, okay, new canon guys, I'm not doing jack shit for you unless you canonize fucking Plagueis. Plagueis is my magnum opus, and it is going to be part of the canon. And if it's not, I'm gone.
But that's the thing. That should be the case with so much more. So much more.
I know. I like the sad thing I'm feeling is that we'll probably never ever get another Star Wars novel by Matthew Stover, because he doesn't seem to have
don't say that. Oh, he's my favorite.
I'm sorry. I said the horrible thing that we're all dreading, but part of me thinks that it's going to be true.
Not an impossibility.
I'm gonna read Shatterpoint right now, actually, because I have it right there. I'm gonna reread that shit.
Yeah. For me, I got my Luke Skywalker and Shadows of Mindor, and I got my Dark Lord trilogy, and I I actually went and picked up Traitor on its own just to read of all of Vajir's creepy moral relativistic teachings that makes Darth Treya look simplistic and pansy ass by comparison because Vajir is fucking awesome.
The annoying thing is, it's not only the films that are going to be affected, as well as the era that comes after it. It's going to affect the authors because the people creating the new content now can't look back on the EU as already pre-existing law and draw from it. So everything they make is going to be judged against the EU as either copying them or falling flat in face in comparison. So where people like I can't remember his name, Sean Stewart, guy did Dark Rendezvous. It's the only book in Star Wars he's done, and he created a beautiful masterpiece in that book, but he wouldn't have had anything to draw on without the EU existing.
Yep.
Exactly.
And the new authors don't, unless they draw on the EU. In which case, why not just have the EU be accurate and still there? Like, Aftermath pulls it off perfectly. It makes so many mentions to EU stuff. Or stuff
That's
that
why you get the
they wouldn't know
difference
about the EU.
between something like Tarkin and Dark Disciple, where you have someone who actually knows what's up previously, and then someone else who had no clue, is just a good writer, and comes in and does that.
Yeah. It means that they're going to have all the people who are creating the new stuff is going to be doing it blind. So yeah, we might get some awesome stuff, but it's not
unless
going to be
the
as
author
awesome as
itself
EU.
actually knew beforehand,
Yeah.
because it's not a requirement for them anymore. Like if it's a new author, they don't have to like do that. You know what I mean? Like because they're like, oh no, you only have to look from these these 2 years of books rather than like all these other things.
And sounds to me like the story group basically grabs a good author, gives them a plot summary or basic information to get across in the book, and then lets them loose.
Just go.
Because they don't have to care. They don't have to
Interview
look
someone
back and-
from. Let's see if I can contact Pablo Hidalgo.
As in right now?
Yeah. Well,
Bring him
not
on.
this second, but
Because it's just so much damage. It's not just a case of us being like, oh, we like the old stuff, don't bring in the new. We are perfectly happy to have new stuff. Again, Aftermath is the big, one we're going to keep pointing out. But we're not going to get much of that, if anything, because it's going to be like this fake. Yes, you can have your own canon, and it doesn't diminish the original material for them to suddenly say it's not canon, but it diminishes the connection between that material and the new, is what it does.
Yeah.
There's no
It's like
bridge
part of the
anymore.
reason
And if
why
there is, we have to
part of the
force it.
reason part of the reason why I decided to become a dedicated Star Wars fan was because I was entering into the franchise under the assumption that there would always be new material forthcoming. There would always be new stuff for me to get into, new stuff to add to the lore, new stuff to flesh out this universe. Because going by the old continuity, it's like, they had a lot of history, but there are also a lot of gaps in there that could have stood to be filled out. Like, I would have loved to see a book written about Darth Ruin and see what he was all about. But now it's like that's no longer a possibility. It's like,
Or if it is done, it's going to be done with almost none of the fleshing out because none of the stuff that surrounds it exists anymore. Like Darth Bane is a character, but nothing. All we know is that Darth Bane was a person. Everything else we know about him is now invalid in terms of the canon approach, unless we look back and take from
I don't
the
think
EU.
so. He's not conflicting, so he's good.
That's exactly what I do. I go and look back anything that isn't conflicting. I will keep immediately.
Fair game.
And stuff that is conflicting, I will either force to make sense if possible, or just disregard the new stuff because the old
Just
stuff
like I
is
do
always better
with
than new.
Balava. I make sense of her. I still think she makes sense. I went in coma, and then they're like retraining her into Sorisu, and boom, there you go.
Yeah, you can force it. Sometimes it comes off really crappily, but it's better than having nothing at all.
What the hell? Stop that.
For me, it doesn't. The Deepa thing is one of those things that I just can't make work because crimes against civilization.
Yeah,
and
I know.
of
War
course
crimes are a little hard.
Yeah, and the other thing is the fact that at the end of Shatterpoint, when Palpatine is standing by her back to tank with his hand pressed against the glass, the impression I had is that Palpatine had plans for her. Like he was putting stuff together. It's like, okay, I got one of the reigning masters of Vapad, one of the most powerful Jedi masters in the galaxy, turned to the dark side and in a coma right now. So what can I do with this? I wanted to see what he did with her. I wanted to see what he did to her. And now we'll never now we'll never get that because they just decided, Deepa Balaba is going to be Kanan's master instead of any other member of the council.
Any other character. It was basically, look, she's the right ethnicity. Whack her on the list. It's like,
Oh my god.
It's pretty much what they've done. I'm almost certain of it.
I know, and it's like the other thing is also down to how a lot of sources have been handling a lot of the Jedi characters. They're really bending over backwards to slap us in the face with how ethnically diverse the Jedi are. And to me, especially in TCW, it felt really, really forced. A lot of the Jedi with their weird ethnic accents, they didn't sound like real people. They sounded like voice actors doing ethnic accents.
Ayla
Whereas when
Secura
you
with French accent. Why?
that was such bullshit. I hated it.
It doesn't fit
And then
the
when you
character.
go Yeah, and then you go back and look at the original Clone Wars microseries. One of my favorite scenes is just that Jedi Council session where they're discussing whether or not to make Anakin a knight. And the thing I loved about that scene is that every single master sounded unique and individual, but most of all, they also sounded like real people. It's like they still had those little ethnic accents in there, but they were a lot subtler. They weren't slapping you in the face with it to tell you the Jedi are ethnically diverse. They take people from any culture. It's like, no, these are different people with their own different histories, their own different backstories, their own different experiences, and of course, they all speak a little differently because of that. It's like, and it's just those subtle little differences that you get between person A and person B. And personally, I think Kit Fisto works a hell of a lot better with an Americanized accent than he does with a Jamaican one.
It comes down to personal
To
preference to an
be
extent.
fair, it
but-
is consistent with George Lucas's MO.
Yeah, yeah.
If you know what
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. We're not going there.
Credits don't. Mind tricks don't
We're
work
not
on
going
me.
there.
Only money.
We're not going there.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But
those
to be
droidicas.
fair,
We're not
at
going
least
there.
he's consistent.
We're
What's it
not
called? Jar Jar
going
Binks.
there.
All right, all right. So guys, trailer talk. I think we're done
We're
with the
done.
trailer.
We're actually done with the trailer.
Yeah.
We're
We're done.
pretty-
Fade
Yeah.
to black. Star
I'm very much
Wars.
alright. Did you guys buy your tickets yet? I bought my tickets.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yes.
going with
No.
16 other
I bought
people.
3 tickets already.
I'm going with 16
I work
other
at a
fans. It's
I
gonna be
work at a
glorious.
movie theater.
Oh my god, you're so lucky.
You probably
You
get the
just
discount
walk
on
in.
this.
You just
Oh
walk
right,
in.
the cinema thing. I thought you meant my one. I was like, what?
Oh, exactly.
Well-
that's how I
well,
went to go.
actually-
That's how I went to go see The Martian. I just walked in because
Really?
I
You
work
do
there.
that?
I have a name. Yes, I work. Technically, it's not allowed, but the managers are willing to turn a blind eye to it if you just do every now and again. If you do it too often, they will take issue. But if you're just popping in every now and again, and I don't see many movies because I hate spending my free time at my workplace. But every now and again, when there's a movie I really, really want to see, a movie I really, really care about, I will go see a movie. And most of the time, I just walk in whenever I please because guess what? I work at a movie theater. No one's going to stop me. I went to go see. Oh God, you'll call me crazy, but I went to go see The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug like 9 times. I love the movie that
Dang.
much.
I don't know how you love that movie. It's just one giant fight scene, a ludicrous one at that. But fair enough.
Oh my lord.
Hey, you love
I'm
what you
s-
love.
Right,
Yeah,
no,
it's
sorry,
big
no, that's
fucking-
the Battle of Five Armies. Sorry, never mind.
Yeah,
Idiot.
as far as I'm concerned, Desolation of Smaug could be retitled Big Fucking Dragon the movie and it'd still be accurately titled.
Yeah, sorry. I
And
think
that's
you
what's so
mentioned
awesome
Battle of
about it,
Five
because I'm
Armies.
sorry, I just love Cumberbatch as a dragon. Cumberbatch as a dragon was just epic.
It is good. Cumberbatch is
Yeah.
nice.
So yeah, I have a opening day one. I'm gonna see it with my coworkers on that Sunday, and I'm seeing the IMAX one on Wednesday at the Man Chinese Theater, which is the 3rd largest screen in the United States.
Nice. Callan, don't you get it like before us? In your
Yes,
region?
I'm going to be watching it 8 hours before you.
8 hours?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it comes out midnight both screenings, doesn't it? And I'm 8 hours
Yep.
ahead. So I'm going
Well,
to see
actually,
it at midnight.
well, no, it should be coming out for 7 o'clock. There should be 7 o'clock showings for you, at the earliest.
No,
I'm sorry.
That's,
No, it's midnight
it's still
on the 18th.
midnight for them. It's still
midnight
midnight.
on the 18th, which is our
Oh.
midnight is 18 hours before yours, so we get it first.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to watch it, come online, and just go, I've seen the film. Yeah, no, I'm not.
Lucky bastard.
But we must, and we will say to the audience now, we will be doing a review, obviously, and we must do one as soon as possible after the
Of
film
course.
comes out, because that's going
Fuck,
to.
let's fly you. Let's fly you.
And also the
Connor
novel,
down
too,
here,
Alan Dean
Alan,
Foster,
and
don't
just let's
forget
all
about
just
it.
go see it.
I
How about we
can't.
do that?
I'm watching it with some friends over here. Sorry, got
I know,
16
I know.
of us like going into a cinema.
I
together.
am not passing up on my free screening.
It's cool, yeah. I'm gonna go see it with a friend.
It's gonna be
A
interesting.
friend. He knows what
I
I'm
have a
talking about.
And no, that it's not what you think.
It's
okay,
gonna be
alright.
interesting. That should be sure. To be sure.
Oh boy, this episode's been interesting.
Yeah. we're kind of waffling at this point. We're just going
Well,
on.
I think we should. I think we should close up shop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right,
definitely.
okay. So as I said at the very start of the video, my attitude towards the trailer is that I love the visual aesthetic and I love the feel, but a lot of the story ideas they suggested make me very apprehensive, as I detailed. I'm terrified that this is just going to be basically a rehash of the original of A New Hope and a soft franchise reboot instead of a story continuation.
I personally have, like I said in the beginning, I have a lot of hope, but a lot of trepidation. I like what I'm seeing, but I'm also very hesitant. I'm going to try and remain as neutral as possible, but a lot of things could go wrong, and I really don't want them to. So here's hoping they don't.
What are you, Antoine?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, my meter would be far less. Like I definitely have those trepidations, but the pandering that I'm seeing doesn't affect me as much because I feel like the story will have a very, very good foundation with JJ because I really, really enjoy his style and Loris Kasdan. Like we haven't even spoke about him, and he's definitely pretty solid on the Star Wars front when it comes to the movies. So we're definitely going to get a very entertaining movie, and I felt this trailer was very, very good. Very interested to learn about Rey in particular, and Knights of Ren, and just where the galaxy's at this point.
I just want to know about this universe in general. Like what the hell is
Right.
going on and
That's
why?
the thing. That's where I come in. I'm looking forward to feeling Star Wars again and seeing it and breathing it, but it's not going to be that universe. It's going to be a story in Star Wars format. It's going to be basically the original trilogy back when it was before all of the fleshing out. We're not going to see the fleshing out. I'm almost certain of that. Which is a shame.
You never know.
But it's how much damage control we have to do afterwards that concerns me. You know, if this ultimately is just a sort of story
Well, if you
we
think
can
about it, in
squeeze
your
into
same-
the EU, then I'm fine.
In your same argument, the OT was like that too, and it got fleshed out. So as long as the foundation's there,
But that's the thing
you can flesh it.
but that's the thing is they can flesh it out again, but they can't go and use any of the old stuff. It will just if it was still in the EU and they did the same thing, it would just be a case of okay, crap films, whatever, move on. But they're trying to not make the films a footnote, which is what they should ultimately be in terms of the Star Wars overall. Like this new one is now going to have to redevelop an entire EU,
Oh yeah, I mean that's what
Yeah.
they're doing.
and it's not going to work as well.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, all that from what they've done so far is we're going to get into another argument about it again, or not an argument, discussion. But ultimately, what they've done so far is they've pretended like the old stuff is still canon, but they
Oh
overlap.
no,
it
they
whenever
showed their cards with Dark Disciple. They showed their cards.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
I mean that was just a bad one. But by and large, and definitely the good ones have been using the EU framework and pretending to be slotted in, but just not caring when they don't fit the piece. Which, as long as they don't do too much, I'm fine with. Because again, no matter what I do, I'll just warp this new story and fit it with the old EU in my head. And we should do a video on that. We should do a video on how, when this new trilogy is complete, how it fits into the old EU, and make it work.
Right.
Prove that it can be done.
Well, hey, this has been the Council Forcecast number 14, no, 15, 16,
16.
17, 18, 16,
16.
16. This is Antoine signing off.
Oh my.
Who's next?
That was supposed to be a segue to you guys.
Who's next?
Okay. This is Gensarai 1, embracing the dark side. If I can hit that. There we go.
Are you poking that with a stick?
With my
I'm
sword.
embracing the dark side.
Evan, you should do that and then go with the crossguard.
Okay.
Yep. I used my actual
We're-
personal training sword.
We have a
to
high
hit-
production value on this this podcast.
Yes. I embrace the dark side with my actual training sword. So yeah.
Sign off, Evan. Do it.
Hold on. Hell, I'll do it. I can go last. Callan, you haven't done yours yet.
Go, Callan.
I don't have one. I still don't have one. Verti 4 stealing Connor's one again and saying signing off.
This is Evan
I'm
Nova.
afraid I can't go any darker though. It's day for me.
Evan Nova 95. We hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys later.
Let it in.
I can't believe you bought that.